630-830-4930 or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Dennis Prager here. Join me on an unforgettable cruise to the Caribbean this November. We'll cruise to the vibrant islands of Half Moon Cay, Curacao, Bonaire, Turks and Caicos, and much more. We'll be joined by special guest Sean McDowell, and we'll both be sharing insights into current events in a way I hope energizes and challenges you. Secure your spot before space runs out by calling 855-565-5519 or book online at pragercruise.com.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel. Home to the biggest shows on TV, like Dennis Prager, weekdays at noon Eastern, followed by Jay and Jordan Sekulow at 2. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free now on Xumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Xumo.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So the ShotSpotter saga is coming to its denouement. Yesterday, the City Council voted 33 to 14 to take contracting power away from BLM Brandon and give it to Police Chief Snelling as it pertains to ShotSpotter. Of course, BLM Brandon disagrees with that because what is ShotSpotter but this?
We have spent $100 million on what essentially is walkie-talkies on a stick.
Well, it's nice to have a walkie-talkie on a stick if you don't have a police officer there when a shooting occurs, isn't it? Somebody to radio it in or something to radio it in. That's sort of the point. So I know he meant that as a slight, but yeah, you get it. That's what it is.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line 6. Oh, no. You can also text us on that same line.
So if he does veto it, it would take another alderhuman to vote to ratify the vote that yesterday, essentially, and give the contracting power to Snelling in order to override BLM Brandon's veto. So that'll be interesting to see. But this is sort of a telling moment in what is still the relative infancy of BLM Brandon's administration. I know it seems like forever, but it hasn't been.
No, he's being challenged, and he doesn't like it. He says the legislature can't tell the executive branch what to do. So he was saying yesterday after the vote.
Well, that's not exactly true,
No.
but I wasn't expecting a civics lesson from BLM Brandon. Anyway, the thing that's telling about this to me, a couple things. One is there is no fear on the city council, which is not the usual state of affairs when it comes to the mayor of Chicago and normally the 50 trained SEALs on the city council. So there's no fear there. And I know it's, well, they see the poll numbers, they see what his approval rating is, but it's more than that. Separating the poll numbers, which of course put him in a weaker position, it's they don't fear any reprisals, that he is not competent or not oriented enough or some combination of the two, to impose a penalty for breaking ranks, for daring to confront the fifth floor. And that's really different. Even under triple threat, this seems to have deteriorated more quickly with respect to sort of every alderhuman for themselves on the city council. So that's one point. The other point, it seems to me here, is the people in the neighborhoods, most of them, can't afford to be ideological. BLM Brandon is an apparatchik for the Reds, the Chicago Teachers Union, which is just one branch of the new Bolshevik Party. People in the neighborhoods can't afford to be ideological because they literally can't afford it, and they can't afford it with respect to their public safety. That's not to say that there should be hope for Chicago. I'm not saying that. Because what they are, in most of these wards, and I'm speaking of the alderhumans who broke ranks, effectively. What they are is still identitarian. There's still not much thinking going on. There still is no dot connecting happening. They still are oriented too much by race and identity, generally speaking. As I said, identity politics. So they're not looking for sort of a center-right reform movement. They may be subconsciously, but they certainly haven't made the formal decision. It's not kicking around between their ears. Certainly not yet. So I'm not saying there's hope, but what I am saying is the city council, and particularly the mayor, they are much more ideological than the residents they represent, and the residents can't afford to go down this road completely with them. So there's some pullback, and obviously all these alderhumans are worried about their own hides. I mean, they don't want to lose their $130,000 job. Where else are these people going to make $130,000? Where else in the free world is Brandon Johnson scheduled for a 4% raise after his performance, which would take his salary to $230,000? Where else are they going to make this kind of money? This is the point.
And then they have drivers, and they don't have to pay auto insurance and all that stuff. Mayor Johnson, this was his reaction after this decision was made, or the vote was taken, I should say.
In my case, I get to lead and tell people the truth. Now, if someone wants their mayor to just simply appease, to help ease their anxiety, that's what led us in this mess in the first place. But if you want a mayor that's going to tell you the truth and do everything in your power, my power, to make sure that the people of this city are safe, then you have the right person.
Right, says the guy presiding over the city who lives in the most violent neighborhood in the city.
Yeah. And he made a campaign promise, remember, when he was running for mayor, that he would get rid of ShotSpotter because of Adam Toledo. Because of that.
No, because he's an ideologue, and because the entire orientation of this new Bolshevik party, of which he is a dutiful dues-paying member, is, well, in this instance, this specific issue, is to reimagine policing, which is to say defund it. And ShotSpotter is policing. Take the tools away, take the guns away, take the uniforms away. Bill and Glen Ellen, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Years ago, I read an article in Chicago Magazine about the intimate connection between Chicago gangs and the Democrat Party aldermen. Is there part of this that the Chicago gangs want those ShotSpotter cameras down, and they're leaning on the Democrat Party to get rid of them? Is that part of it too?
Well, I would say, I mean, I couldn't say for certain, but I mean, it's certainly gangs and politics is longstanding in Chicago. But I think that's sort of been diluted, as has the so-called machine been diluted. I don't think you don't have, the kingpins of the Jeff Fort variety who were sophisticated enough to play politics. Not to mention the politicians have become the gangs. They've taken away a lot of the gangs' business. I mean, literally, their businesses, gambling and drugs and so forth. So, there may be some interplay in certain wards with certain aldermen, but I don't think that's what the dominant deal is here. Thanks for the call, Bill. Corey Woodlawn.
Hey, thanks for taking the call, Dan. Good morning, Amy. I think you're very generous with these aldermen. Thanks to COVID, they went in and gave themselves a huge salary increase, so they're pushing close to $150,000. But these turkey wiener aldermen that give you a turkey in the wintertime and a wiener in the summertime, I'm very surprised that they did this. This means that he doesn't have control of the apparatus yet. And while he's in such a weakened state, I think somebody like Lopez needs to come through and put some real change in city council. Thanks, guys.
No, good, Corey. And you're right. If this pay raise takes effect, and why wouldn't it? I mean, the $1 billion budget deficit shouldn't bother them. They got to get theirs. The alder humans' salaries will range from $123,000 to $152,000, with the majority making the highest amount. So yeah, I was undershooting it. But I mean, you can't put a price on good government.
No.
And
they're working hard for the people of Chicago, Dan.
I certainly wouldn't want to. No, of course not. And by the way, Corey's characterization of the turkey wing perfect, because and it fits right into what I was saying, that this is the new street gang. I'm talking about your government, and they act like old school mob bosses. Oh, look, he's a pillar of the community. He hands out turkeys from the back of a truck that somehow wound up in their possession, and so on. And same thing. And so do it once a season kind of thing. Oh, pillar of the community. Right. It's the same scam. Ron, Southside.
Hey, Dan and Amy. Dan, more than an ideologue, and I've said this over and over again, he is a disgusting, blithering idiot.
You can be both.
Period.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? And absolutely is. But that guy is just sick. And I still just think, how in the hell do people vote for him? Okay. Have a good day, you all.
Thanks for the call, Ron. Craig, Mount Greenwood.
Oh, hey, good morning, Dan. And thanks a lot for taking my call. I've been listening to this whack job call this thing walkie-talkies on a stick. He doesn't even have a clue. That technology is really pretty sophisticated. I've been in the room because I come from a police family, and so I've had the opportunity to do ride-alongs, go in that room with the ShotSpotter, the whole thing. That thing gives you the exact coordinates, exactly where the shots came from, where the gun was fired. It gives them information. They know if it's a pistol or a long gun and everything. And basically, it's in real time. It gives them a real head start on all kinds of, when there's something bad happening. So I just want people to realize this guy, when he calls it walkie-talkies on a stick now, it's way more than that.
Thanks for the call, Craig. Well, maybe whoever challenges BLM Brandon in, let's see, today's year, we're in year 2024. He got elected in year 2023, so that would be 2027. Maybe they should run under the Renton's Too Damn High party, like that dude from New York City.
I love that guy.
Because, this is what I say. They can't afford to be ideological. They have to live in the real world. I'm talking about the residents of Chicago, most of them. Not in the Tony areas, but most of them. Zillow analysis reveals mortgage payments are now cheaper than rent in 22 of the 50 largest U.S. cities, including New Orleans, Pittsburgh, and Chicago. Mortgage payments now cheaper than rent. Rent's too damn high party. Maybe Ray Lopez, if he doesn't want to run as a Republican, I know it's nonpartisan, but if he doesn't want to run oriented as a Republican, he can just run under that banner. That might have the most appeal of all at present.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, the FBI meets a libertarian.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
It's 5:32, 63 degrees. Former President Trump held a rally in New York yesterday. The first since an apparent assassination attempt this past weekend in Florida. Trump telling a large crowd the state of New York may vote with him in November.
It hasn't been done for a long time, but we are going to win New York.
Security extremely tight at the rally, especially with protests planned and reports that explosives had possibly been found. Later, New York police officials said those reports were false. The International Brotherhood of Teamsters declining to endorse Kamala Harris or Donald Trump for president, saying neither candidate has sufficient support from the 1.3 million member union, Trump calling it a surprise.
It's automatic. They endorse the Democrats. Automatic for many, many decades. But you know what? They said, they looked at her, they said, we're not going there. I'm sorry.
Harris spoke to the Hispanic caucus yesterday.
It is part of my perspective that let's just do the work of giving first-time home buyers a $25,000 down payment assistance. Let them get their foot in the door.
The Federal Reserve cutting interest rates for the first time in more than 4 years. Fed Chair Jerome Powell.
This decision reflects our growing confidence that with an appropriate recalibration of our policy stance, strength in the labor market can be maintained in a context of moderate growth and inflation moving sustainably down to 2%.
Another deadly round of explosions in Lebanon, this time coming from handheld radios used by Hezbollah terrorists. Meantime, Israeli fighter jets have pounded targets in Lebanon, with thousands of exploding electronics putting the region on edge.
Israeli warplanes attacking southern Lebanon after Israel declares, quote, a new phase in the war. The Israeli Air Force saying they targeted military buildings and a weapons depot belonging to Hezbollah in 7 areas. The IDF also attacking several areas in southern Lebanon with artillery fire. Also a missile from Lebanon injuring 8 people in Israel. This all comes on the heels of 2 days of a massive coordinated attack targeting devices like pagers and walkie-talkies of Hezbollah members. Those attacks Tuesday and Wednesday killed at least 20 people and injured thousands.
Fox's Chanley Painter. There's been another high-level resignation inside the administration of New York City Mayor Eric Adams. The third departure in a week. Kristen Kaufman, the Deputy Commissioner of Public-Private Partnerships and Economic Development, is being forced out of City Hall, part of one of many federal investigations into the mayor centering on Turkish money reaching his 2021 campaign. A showdown at City Hall, hearkening back to the council wars of the early 1980s.
You can see the light at the end of the tunnel and come on over to the side and show this city that we're united and moving forward for the best interest of everyone, and vote in favor of this ordinance. That's the beauty of democracy.
Following an hours-long debate yesterday, aldermen voted 33-14 to approve an ordinance giving Police Superintendent Larry Snelling the power to sign a new contract with ShotSpotter. Mayor Brandon Johnson called the measure illegal, saying he would veto use of that technology. And Chicago is supposed to end on Sunday. A nonprofit is fighting plans to build a new Bears stadium along Chicago's lakefront.
We object to the site they have selected and the ultimate cost to our city and residents.
Friends of the Park's executive director, Jen Kilgore. Bears respond by saying the nearly $5 billion project will create thousands of jobs, they say, and increase green and open space. Chicago sports. Cubs dropped their series against the A's with a 5-3 loss in the finale of that series. White Sox fall apart in extras, losing to the Angels 4-3 in 13 innings. And the Blackhawks have a new captain. Team announcing yesterday 36-year-old Nick Foligno will become the 35th captain in franchise history, replacing Jonathan Taves. The Hawks played without a captain last year. The news, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% on dental implants and get 100% of your smile back with a Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP? It's possible. Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The two things that hit every family's budget the hardest are the price of gas and the price of groceries. And for the past few years, we've all been feeling that pain. That's why AM 560 wants to help fill your gas tank and your pantry. It's our gas and groceries giveaway contest. You could win up to $10,000 in gift cards for gas and groceries. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/contest. That's 560theanswer.com/contest.
A healthy fawn may be seen frolicking in its pen. Who would have not survived? Or a rehabilitated horse might be running in the pasture that had once been malnourished and not used to human kindness. Their success is from the dedicated volunteers at Paws Critter Crossing, an amazing not-for-profit organization that saves critters in crisis. Paws Critter Crossing, located right here in Chicagoland, is a rehabilitation center for injured and orphaned wildlife and a sanctuary for farm animals that have been abused or abandoned. Please help PCC raise desperately needed funds so they can continue their mission in giving these animals a second chance in life by registering for their fundraiser event on September 28th. Go to pawscrittercrossing.org and click on events. You can buy tickets for their dinner, which includes an open bar and entertainment. Experience the bidding excitement on their online auction, or just hit the donate option. Tickets are on sale now through September 20th. Tickets will not be sold at the door. pawscrittercrossing.org. Click on events. No donation is too small.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
540, T. Hochberg Traffic Center time, I-57. You've got an exit ramp closed due to lingering construction. It's the off-ramp to Halstead this morning. And stop-and-go inbound jamming of Volmer Road all the way up and in to 183rd. Accident right shoulder on the outbound, Dan Ryan, just reported at 35th. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Mostly sunny and 89 today. Partly cloudy and warm. Low 67 overnight. 63 right now. Next news coming up at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. What happens when a libertarian is confronted by two FBI agents coming to talk to him about some social media posting? This is very interesting. This was actually referenced yesterday by James Fitzgerald, retired FBI agent, when we were talking to him about the Secret Service in the context of the Trump assassination attempts, as well as the FBI's investigation of the Secret Service, both the investigation in Butler and the investigation that is ongoing, I suppose, now in West Palm, and with a little bit of Ron DeSantis parallel investigation, which we all concluded we like. But anyway, so this exchange, I mean, the thing about the confrontation here is how eerily similar it is to some of what we've seen in places like the UK, where they don't have First Amendment protections. Now, of course, because we do, and because this libertarian was filming it, I think probably with an emphasis on the latter, it didn't end the same way most of the incidents in places like Britain have ended, with a ticket and or an arrest. Anyway, you know, I have some appreciation that some law enforcement may not like this exchange, but frankly, not specific necessarily to these two agents. Frankly, the FBI as an institution has brought this attitude on themselves.
Hey, how can I help you?
Hey there, Jeremy?
Yeah.
How are you?
Who are you?
I'm Agent O'Donnell with the FBI.
Can you give your full name, please?
I'm Agent O'Donnell with the FBI.
Is that sufficient to identify as the only one O'Donnell affiliated with the FBI? Could you please state your full name, sir?
Could you please stop recording?
No. It's First Amendment right.
Okay.
What's your name, sir?
Could you stop recording, please?
Absolutely not. You can show me your name and identification, or I'm going to go back inside my house.
Okay.
I don't really want to broadcast my...
Oh, this is going out right after you guys walk away.
Oh, my God.
So you can show me your name or ID, you can walk away.
We just want to talk to you.
I'm not going to talk to people who claim to be federal agents unless they can show me identification.
Okay, well, you see our badges.
I need to see... Is your full name on that badge?
No.
I'd like to see something with your full name, or I'm not going to talk to you.
I prefer you not to broadcast it.
This will be going online as soon as you walk away.
All I want to do is talk to you about a post that was made, and if you
Well,
happen to be the one that made
I want to talk to you about you guys coming here. Say you make a salary of, I don't know what, low 100K? You guys making six figures?
Oh my God.
Factor in 50% expenses, overhead, maybe 100% expenses. Talking about burning a couple $100 an hour just here, let alone all the time you guys are spending to investigate something that you know is not against the law, right? Like you're familiar with. So then why would you come?
Because we wanted to make sure that there weren't any.
No, you're coming because you're part of a regime that does this kind of thing when you know laws aren't being broken, and that's an embarrassment, man. Didn't you guys read the Constitution? Do you not believe in America? Like, how do you do your jobs and go home?
We appreciate it.
You're walking away because nothing we did is against the law, and you guys are heads that try to act like bullies. And I hope you go home and are embarrassed. You can't even say your name on camera because you know that what you're doing is embarrassing. You know Americans that believe in the Constitution think you're laughable. And you go home and you think about what you did today. Go home and think about it, you cowards. Drive away. Drive away.
Thank you for your time, sir.
You're not welcome. You should be embarrassed. Embarrassing. You guys are embarrassing.
And off they went. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 646, no, I keep doing it too. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line and text line. Too aggressive in the direction of the FBI, not compliant enough with law enforcement, just, as the phrase goes, just doing their jobs.
I have to tell you, that man, that Jeremy Kaufman, he's got some onions. He did not back down. He was not fearful of the FBI. I mean, he stood his ground because we have a right to free speech in this country. And that is slowly being taken away by people like Hillary Clinton and Tim Walz, who, by the way, 13 days ago talked about, misinformation is illegal or should be illegal. And he hasn't responded to any questions from reporters about that. But he stuck it right between their eyes. And he let them know, I am going to be broadcasting this the second you walk away. So give me your information. Let me see your names. And they didn't do it. And they did walk away because they were cowards. Because I think deep down in their heart, what they're doing, they know is wrong.
I don't know if they're cowards, but I mean, they are acting in the service of an agency that is just off the rails. It was just off the rails, particularly against what has happened over the last 2 months. I mean, there's so many instances you can point to, but the man. I mean, he was right, not necessarily to go into how much money is being burned on an hourly basis by them driving out to his home, but he's right to say, all this talk from Christopher Wray about these foreign threats to our country. Gray talking obviously, but at least semi-honestly about open borders and what that means for national security. All the threats that the FBI has to run down. And here again, we see the FBI worried about some politically active libertarian with aggressive but not illegal, not anywhere close to illegal posts online. And, this is against the backdrop, too, of, now this is Homeland Security, perhaps, but I mean, it's the same culture, whether throughout the federal law enforcement agencies, as we have seen in full blossom. We're just off a discussion, which is not concluded, of this would-be assassin in West Palm over the weekend. And as we've come to find out, all this interaction that he had with law enforcement, that other people who were in his orbit had with law enforcement expressing concern about this guy, a referral that was made by ICE agents to DHS for further inquiry effectively that was denied. So, you have to look at the juxtaposition of this, too. It's threats, perceived threats, or bellicose rhetoric. The FBI is always coming seemingly at one direction when they're doing the wellness check, as it were, for conservatives or libertarians that have problems with how their government operates. And the juxtaposition against all of these other arrayed threats for which the FBI has some substantial responsibility, if not ultimate responsibility, in terms of protection and investigation. And yet here we are. And you can understand, I think, why some people are frustrated. In addition to their over-the-line stuff, in addition to their stonewalling and misinformation and general incompetence. Yeah, I can understand it. Greg, Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thank God for cameras and being able to put this stuff online instantaneously. The actions of these guys is never going to end as long as they're getting that paycheck. And I think it's important that guy points out, how much money is being wasted on resources to do this kind of thing, which basically is nothing more than hassling its citizens. Whether doing that, arresting some 80-year-old for praying in front of an abortion clinic, so on and so forth. Yet when it comes to accountability for what's going on with people trying to kill Donald Trump, nobody knows nothing about nothing. It's the Chicago way. And you know what? For police departments throughout this country, including and specifically Chicago, as long as these guys are getting their pay and know that they're going to get a nice juicy pension at the end of the day, they'll do the bidding of the scumbags running the show, the politicians. It is despicable. Guys, have a good one.
Thanks for the call, Greg. Except and until politicians, even some on the left, I mean, I'm a bit, I wouldn't say shocked, but I'm now curious about what Blumenthal's angle is. Stolen Valor Blumenthal. He's bitching again about DHS stonewalling on the Butler, Pennsylvania investigation. And what has that Butler, Pennsylvania investigation by FBI of Secret Service, what has it actually produced after 2 months?
I am reaching the point of total outrage because the response from the Department of Homeland Security has been totally lacking. In fact, I think it's tantamount to stonewalling in many respects. If necessary, I'll certainly support a subpoena.
Wow, what's going on?
Well, wait a second. We just heard from Acting Director of Secret Service Ron Rowe the other day about how Ali Mayorkas has done such a wonderful job as an advocate for Secret Service and the resources we need and so on and so forth. So they close ranks, too. I mean, they expect it from the right. Maybe occasionally they'll get it from the left. But anyway, they close ranks because they're not accountable to anybody. And this is the fundamental problem. They're not accountable to anybody, and they act like it. Len in Highland Park.
Yeah, I lost faith in the FBI back in the late 1980s when they planted guys on the floor of the Chicago Merc. And when they were there, I don't know, maybe 2 years, and when it all came out, it was the Monday after the Super Bowl. And I was thinking, oh, great. They're going to get some of these guys off the floor that really should be off the floor that I had to deal with every day and scrutinize everything they did because they're thieves. And what happened is they got all the bad guys as government witnesses and got all the good guys, who bent the rules a little bit. When you got before the computer, if you had 1,000 orders in your hand, you had to bend the rules a little bit. Everything couldn't go into the open market. They got all the people, cost my friend over $1 million, but everyone got off. And as for the Secret Service, when Reagan first came to the floor of the exchange, I'd be in the smoking room at 3 a.m, having my cigarette, getting prepped for the day.
Sure.
And these
How else
guys
would you prep for the day? Yeah, of course.
And these guys, they would find a booger beneath, a desk. I mean, they just covered that place like nothing I ever seen. Great guys. And the one guy told me the hardest detail they had is when the president played golf. But it just brings to light how they failed in Pennsylvania and how I think it's an inside job because they're not that bad. Those guys are really thorough.
Well,
but the
They're
FBI,
past their 60-day deadline.
They used to be, at least.
When they're supposed to give us information.
Thanks for the call, Len. Well, something else, too. We had this conversation with Bill O'Reilly earlier in the week about his new book, Confronting the Presidents, and talked a little bit about this, and he sort of, invoked J. Edgar Hoover. Oh, the FBI, it's been like this before, and
it was worse under Hoover.
This is history repeating itself, but not even as bad. No, we didn't have a chance to get into it, but that's not true. I completely disagree. You can have your opinion, so this is not like fact, but I think my viewpoint has a lot more evidence in support. And J. Edgar Hoover, was he wrong to illegally surveil the Kennedys and Martin Luther King and do these enemies list dossiers? Of course. J. Edgar Hoover, operated outside the bounds of law. He's a problem. But what we have now, first of all, the FBI and the police state is exponentially bigger than it was 50 years ago, 60 years ago, so it becomes a much bigger problem. That's number one. Number two, as we have talked about, the paradigm shift here, to borrow from Ron Rowe at Secret Service, since he likes to talk in middle management lingo, is the FBI operating, I would say, extra legally to target ordinary citizens. It is no longer inside power plays. It is the FBI's power being brought against the pro-life dad in rural Pennsylvania and almost against Catholics attending the Latin Mass out in Richmond, Virginia. And the examples we could list go on, and this is just over the last several years, really just even the Trump era. But we could go back before that. Look at how they handled Richard Jewell. There are many, but that's the difference. The difference is they have expanded their overarching, over-officious, and sometimes illegal conduct to target ordinary citizens who don't have near the ability to fight back that somebody like a Donald Trump does, quite clearly. That's a big difference.
Text message. Dan and Amy, more people need to have this kind of courage to stand for their rights. To Jeffrey Kaufman.
George in Naperville.
Yeah, Dan, confronting the FBI is one thing, but I feel sorry for the barista that gets that guy's coffee wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. He's very particular. Neil LaGrange.
I think he makes his own coffee.
Hey, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. If Blumenthal was so concerned about this, wasn't Mayorkas just impeached? And those subpoenas that do those subpoenas have any teeth? I mean, I didn't think that they have any really. I mean, they can have them come to Congress, but what kind of enforcement does the legislative branch have? Anything?
Well, I mean, you could ask Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon about that.
Yeah, well, that's we know about a two-tier justice.
Well, there you go. So it could have teeth, but I mean, they subpoena him, and Mayorkas just ignores it. What's Merrick Garland's going to come in and prosecute Blumenthal? I don't think so. I mean, prosecute Mayorkas? I don't think so.
For Blumenthal to be puffing his chest out, there must be something else going on in the background that we don't know about.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
I've never seen.
There's more to the story here.
Thanks for the call. I agree, which is, I mean, you can't take stolen valor at face value. So he's doing this for some sort of political reason. It's not obvious to me what it is. He also said that things that are going to come out in this forthcoming report are going to shock the American public. So maybe he's just trying to get ahead of it so that he can, sort of middle the issue and not be seen as part of the party that's trying to cover up and misdirect, his own personal political interests. It's hard to say. Sean, Northwest Side.
Hey, good morning. The biggest concern is how frightened these guys are of being recorded. I don't understand why these guys don't have body cams. The hardest working law enforcement agency is a normal patrol beat cop, and they're forced to wear body cams. These guys need to be exposed every single day, like live PD. We need like live FBI or live DEA or all the other three-letter agencies. That's all I really wanted to say.
Thanks for the call, Sean. All right, coming up at 6:06, a general has some great insight on how Kamala will inspire the world and cower our enemies. You will want to hear how she will do that at 6:06.
And she has a new accent that she took out for a spin yesterday. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
City Council votes to give the top cop power to keep ShotSpotter, but will it hold? Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson remaining mum about accepting a pay raise. Aldermen pass an ethics ordinance that targets mayoral donations from lobbyists. Friends of the Parks fighting against the Bears. WIND Chicago News
The
Time.
first big
6.
Trump rally since the second assassination attempt. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
These encounters with death have not broken my will. They have really given me a much bigger and stronger mission.
The former president in Uniondale, New York.
I will stop the Kamala crime wave, and we will do everything we can. We're going to get these violent criminals behind bars. We're going to get them out of our country.
He has pledged mass deportations to deal with record illegal immigration.
Donald Trump and his extremist allies will keep trying to pull us backward. We all remember what they did to tear families apart.
Vice President Harris addressing the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. A Fox News poll gives her a 12-point lead among Hispanics and also 12 points among independent voters. The poll gives Harris an overall 2-point lead over Trump nationally.
The economy remains the number one issue of voter concern, and the former president is favored on that issue by 5 points. But the VP is favored on uniting the country, helping the middle class, and protecting rights and freedoms.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. The Teamsters have become the only major labor union not to endorse Vice President Harris, instead backing nobody. Though an internal poll among Teamsters members shows a wide majority support Trump. The manhunt appears to be over for the gunman in the Kentucky highway shootings, ending on day 12 of the search.
While they were in there, they began to detect a strong odor of what appeared to be a decomposing flesh, whether it could be animal or human.
State Police Commissioner Philip Burnett says they believe the remains found are Joseph Couch's. His shooting spree targeting cars on I-75 left 5 people seriously wounded. It's going to get a little cheaper to buy a car, maybe get a mortgage and pay off credit cards.
The Federal Open Market Committee decided to reduce the degree of policy restraint by lowering our policy interest rate by a 0.5 percentage point.
Fed Chair Jerome Powell, after all the rate hikes earlier to bring inflation down. On Wall Street, stocks dropped after the cut yesterday. But this morning, Dow futures are surging up almost 500 points. America's listening to Fox News.
6:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A showdown at City Hall. The council will move forward with an effort to keep the ShotSpotter gunshot detection system in the city. It follows an hours-long debate yesterday. Aldermen voting 33-14. to approve an ordinance giving Police Superintendent Larry Snelling the power to sign a new contract with ShotSpotter.
I hope
seeing the writing on the wall, that the mayor understands, to use his terms, this is the adult world, the legislature is compelling me to do something, and he will go ahead and execute a contract.
Alderman Bill Conway, the mayor, responding, calling the measure illegal and saying he will veto it.
I do think it is something that we should keep, but I also don't feel the need to put Superintendent Snelling, who by all accounts is doing a great job, versus in put him in the middle of an argument between city council and the mayor.
The use of the technology in Chicago is set to end Sunday. A new ethics ordinance approved by Chicago aldermen designed to punish lobbyists for contributing to mayoral candidates. City Council passing the measure yesterday after Brandon Johnson dropped opposition to the plan. The ordinance bans lobbyists from donating to a mayor or mayor's candidate's political committee. A nonprofit is fighting plans to build a new Bears stadium along Chicago's lakefront.
We object to the site they have selected and the ultimate cost to our city and residents.
Friends of the Park's executive director, Jen Kilgore, says it will previously use plans that they used successfully to torpedo plans for a Star Wars museum by George Lucas on the same site. There will be an increased police presence today at a northern Illinois high school. It comes as authorities are investigating a reported threat of violence. Oregon, Illinois police learned about the threat planned for tomorrow. All students believed to be involved in the threat will not be attending school today. Cubs lost to Oakland 5-3, and with the Cub loss, the Brewers have clinched the National League Central title. White Sox fell to the Angels 4-3. The Blackhawks have a new captain. The team announcing yesterday Nick Foligno will become the 35th captain in franchise history. The news, a service of Blue Stars Security. Visit online to schedule a free security consultation at bluestarssecuritylllc.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager sees similarities between us and Israel.
There's such a parallel here. We have Trump, they have Netanyahu. The left hates Trump, the left hates Netanyahu. The people in this country who hate Trump hate Netanyahu. But what do they hate about him? Other than the fact that he's on the right and he has power. Can you name anyone on the right that they don't hate?
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Charlie Kirk at 1 on AM 560. The Answer.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here with urgent news. The world's central banks are making unprecedented moves, and it's time to pay attention. In 2022 and 2023, they bought more gold than ever before. And now in 2024, the trend is accelerating. Why? Because central banks have lost faith in the dollar. And in these uncertain times, gold is the ultimate safe haven. If you too are worried about the dollar, I urge you to take similar action by diversifying your IRA or 401k into gold with my trusted friends at Birch Gold Group. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. I trust Birch Gold. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax-advantaged status. So text PROTECT to 989898. That's PROTECT to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply. If you have high blood pressure, listen to this story. Ira was given a grim diagnosis about his blood pressure. His doctor warned it's sky high. If he didn't get it down in 3 weeks, he was going to need surgery. So Ira began exercising, went on medication. But what seemed to be the miracle change, his diet. After thorough research and consulting with a nutritionist friend, Ira concocted a juice from foods that work like natural blood pressure medicines. 2 weeks later, his blood pressure dropped 30 points. What helped save Ira's life, amazed his doctor, is now available to you. Ira and his nutritionist founded 120 Life, a delicious juice and powdered mix with natural ingredients that have shown to lower blood pressure. Try it yourself risk-free with a 2-week trial pack. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now, 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout.
6:08. Let's get a check on the roads now. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. It's a service of Valdecas Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high quality and professional level window replacement service. Contact Valdecas Windows, your award-winning Platinum, Elite, Pella certified contractor. Valdecas.com. The Kennedy at 36. O'Hare to the Burn Circle interchange and climbing already this morning. Stevenson in 35 from 355 into DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Bishop Ford stop and go inbound between 111th and the Dan Ryan. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Another very warm day, lots of sun today, the high at 89. Partly cloudy warm tonight, low 67. Partly sunny warm, a thunderstorm in the area tomorrow, the high 84. Partly sunny, remaining warm on Saturday, the high at 86. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
63, partly cloudy at O'Hare. Next news, 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Kamala as the commander-in-chief. Thinking about that.
Makes me sick.
Thinking about Kamala as the commander-in-chief, unburdened by what has been, is the way you need to think about it. And to help us with that, retired Brigadier General Steve Anderson. I looked him up. He's otherwise seemingly had a distinguished career in the service. He's West Point.
Okay.
But you can have a distinguished career in the service. You can be an intelligent guy, capable guy. And you can also be susceptible or enthusiastic about the dominant politics of the day for your own particular reasons. But retired Brigadier General Steve Anderson has this keen insight into how Kamala as commander-in-chief would make America more safe, would inspire the world, and frighten America's enemies. It was very Barack Obama-esque. It was almost the seas will part. But take a listen, see if you agree.
But Kamala Harris would be just the opposite. Why? Because she's an inspiration. Not only is she positive, and does she bring hope and optimism, but as a black woman, the product of a mixed marriage, she will inspire millions of people throughout the world. Our credibility as a nation, that we would be able to allow, our country is so great that we're allowed a woman like that to become the commander-in-chief, the president of the United States. That is going to send a powerful message all over the world. People like Vladimir Putin are going to say, hey, wait a minute. These guys, they truly have a democratic country. They truly are representative. They truly are fighting for all their people. And Kamala Harris is a manifestation of that.
Oh, boy. 312-642-5600. Did that guy fall on his head? I mean, what is wrong with him?
Kamala Harris, if she is elected upon her inauguration on January 20th, Putin will immediately withdraw from Ukraine, recognizing, oh, my goodness, they elected a woman who's the product of a mixed marriage. They're very serious about their democracy, and we don't want to mess with that.
First of all,
That's the story.
Putin wants her to win, which speaks volumes. Putin is not going to be withdrawing from Ukraine on November 5th. We can tell you that much. And this mixed marriage stuff, her dad's Irish and Indian. And who cares? We've already had a president who's from a mixed marriage. Everyone's from a mixed marriage. That's nothing unique at all anymore. It's certainly not going to, scare world leaders.
Right. To deal with this on the substance is to miss the point.
Right.
I mean, what do you say to that? It just speaks to.
Oh my God.
It speaks to the political culture inside the Beltway, and I'm not even talking about the identitarian culture. It just speaks to the there are people, accomplished, talented people, who will use their talents in service of the state, no questions asked. They will say and do anything in service of the state and in service of the state from which they benefit. This is the nomenclatura. This is very Soviet. And statements like that from a person like that are designed to humiliate you, which is exactly what you saw. I mean, I hate to make overwrought comparisons to, the Bolsheviks of the Russian variety, but that's really what this is. So you laugh at it and you think, what is he talking about? And you say to yourself and your friends how ridiculous this is. That's the point, actually, to humiliate. We can say and do anything. And when we buy in, we being conservatives, buy into conspiracy theories, we act in furtherance of their interests. Because it's a way to say we can never win. They want to demoralize. That's what humiliation does. It's demoralizing. That's what statements like this from somebody as decorated as this retired brigadier general are intended to do, demoralize you. If I have to say things I know are foolhardy in furtherance of the objective, then I'll do that. Because the objective is to maintain the nomenclatura's status in power in D.C. So, most people will just dismiss this and laugh about it and ridicule it, but understand it, too. This is the person that Putin and Xi and the Iranian mullahs in Tehran are so afraid of.
Did you hear her yesterday? She was speaking at Hispanic Heritage Conference in D.C., whipped out a new accent, and then just started speaking jibber jabber.
I love you back. I grew up understanding the children of the community are the children of the community. Recently, I was in Nevada. I'm in these streets, let me tell you, I'm everywhere. We have some work to do. In fact, a lot of hard work ahead of us. But we like hard work. Hard work is good work. Hard work is joyful work, I say.
Right. She's Kamala from the block. She is the modern rich little of politics. But, I mean, this is nothing new. I ain't no ways tired with Hillary Clinton. Oh, yeah. It's the same approach. The children of the community. Right, these are the watching her and listening to her is something that will strike fear in the hearts of America's enemies. Again, the intention is to humiliate. By the way, something else, though, too, I mean, it doesn't mean that she's not dangerous. I mean, not to our enemies, but to Americans. She is. This level of, ideology, the apparatchik whose role is to be a cipher and that much power with that little ability, that's dangerous. And again, going to the Kamala vault, something recently unearthed, particularly since she spent a good deal of time over the last week since the debate talking about how she's a gun owner and all the suggestions that somehow she would be opposed to people's Second Amendment rights. She would curtail them. She would do anything to prevent people from protecting themselves. Well, this is back when Kamala was Kamala from California before she became Kamala from the block.
Kamala from the block. That's a good one.
Talking with Gavin Newsom to the assembled, dutiful California political press corps, which I'm sure is a parallel to the Chicago, Springfield, Illinois press corps. And this is what she had to say about private gun ownership back in the day.
Responsible behaviors among everybody in the community, and just because you legally possess a gun in the sanctity of your locked home doesn't mean that we're not going to walk into that home and check to see if you're being responsible and safe in the way you conduct your affairs.
Have you heard from?
So just because you legally own a gun at home doesn't mean we're not going to come into your home and make sure you're being legally responsible. We're going to come into your home and make sure you're being legally responsible with the gun you legally own. What does that look like exactly? I got statements that are not supposed to have implications. We're not supposed to ask the question, what does that look like exactly? How would that work exactly? What does that mean exactly? Because they're not intended to be statements of detail or accountability. To treat them that way is to miss the point, at least their point. Rich in Indian Head Park here in Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yes, good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. The question I'd like to ask, how did this guy ever become a general making a statement like he just made and you just played? It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, well...
No, it's what Dan said.
Yeah,
they're
for the call,
accomplished people who'll use their talent in service of the state. That's a perfect statement.
A lot of those generals, if you talk to military guys, they're political animals. Yeah. Rising through the ranks in the military is not without its politics, too. So, factor that in, and then it's just the other piece. This is the Dick Cheney, Barack Obama alliance here. What does that tell you about where the
Cheney.
He's
every Democrat's enemy, and now he's a hero.
Well,
he's voting for Kamala, please.
Well, it's one of the things. It's you say he's backing his family over his party, and that's fine. That's his choice. But there's another aspect of this too, which is he's backing a military-industrial complex he spent 50 years being a part of over his party and perhaps his country.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Keene Jr. of the Mail House, Inc., a family-owned and operated digital print mail house with a specialty in political advertising and a customer of Signature Bank. We knew that getting a loan to buy our business wouldn't be easy, so we turned to one of our trusted friends for a referral. She told us about the outstanding level of customer service her business received at Signature Bank since becoming one of their first customers in 2006. Today, we couldn't be happier. Not only did Signature help us finance the purchase of the mail house, but they supported our growth as we modernized our operations in mailing as well as from traditional to digital printing. If you're looking for a great bank to grow your business, take a look at Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Turnkey IT, you hear us talk about it all the time because we have the turnkey.pro text line. David Kolsek, the founder, the creator of turnkey.pro, turnkey.pro, turnkey.com. And then they want you to know, though, if you've been in business for a number of years, it's likely your company has grown in every department. You've added your sales team, increased your client base, and now have multiple locations. But there's one area that could stop your growth right in its tracks if it's not protected, and that is your network's data. As you've grown, you've likely evolved your basic network over time, putting your company at risk to cyber attacks, ones that can fold up your business in just hours. Think about it. Every day, more than 30,000 websites are hacked, and 2/3 of companies globally have experienced at least one type of cyber attack. Don't let it happen to your company. Defend your business, your customers, your employees, and your future growth with Turnkey's real-time threat hunting protection. Turnkey has the solution to protect your business, so start a conversation today. Visit turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
Her name is Jenny, and maybe like you, she and her husband got tired of their health care getting more and more expensive, so they did it. They went with MediShare.
We signed on with MediShare in March, had a really great experience. It was super easy to get going with them. And then in October of that same year, we found out that I had stage 3 breast cancer.
We were put at ease with MediShare, guiding us and walking with us and saying that they were going to be praying for us.
It's very intentional how they try to bless people when they know this is one of the hardest things that they're going through.
They and their 4 kids thank the Lord, not only for her healing and how he provided for them, but she says it makes her emotional just realizing how she gets to pay it forward.
What we put towards MediShare is going to be blessing another mom, and they're going to show up for her the way that they showed up for me.
You save a lot, and you're part of something really, really good. Call now. It's 844-47-BIBLE. That's 844-47-BIBLE. 844-47-BIBLE.
You hear more and more about identity theft in the news every day. That's because so much of your personal info is out of your control, like your insurance provider that has your social security number and your favorite retailer that has your payment details. If they get breached, your information's vulnerable. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code PLAY at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Hey, I'm going to let you in on a wireless hack that can cut your cell phone bill in half. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, they want you to think that unlimited data is fantastic. Well, the fact is, it's not. Pure Talk, my cell phone company, only charges you for data that you need. With just $25 a month, you get unlimited talk, unlimited text, 5 gigs of data, plus mobile hotspot. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, and do it now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Save money, same service with Pure Talk.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
AM 560, The Answer.
I wish some member of the press corps, and obviously have to be the conservative press corps, would maybe Tucker would ask Putin what he thinks of General Anderson's comments on Kamala, or even ask go the other way, ask Bibi Netanyahu. Do you think you will be inspired and you will have assistance in intimidating those Islamo-fascist terrorists that mean to do Israelis harm, mean to annihilate Israel, actually, because of Kamala's mixed marriage and the inspiration that it provides?
It's so ridiculous.
By the way, did you see what Bibi said about whether or not Israel was behind those pager and walkie-talkie attacks against Hezbollah senior leaders?
It's unbelievable. It's straight out of a James Bond movie.
He said, he said in response to whether Israel was responsible. So anyway, I was raised in a middle-class household.
No, he didn't.
It's a meme going around, obviously. It's perfect ridicule.
But he's smart and savvy enough that he would mess with people and say something like that.
But, of course, what's going on right now is not anything nefarious when it comes to these state actors and the party they serve. Representative Dan Goldman has his finger on it, as per normal. Dan Goldman is the author of many, many ridiculous statements, General Anderson quality statements. You know, like the Hunter Biden, Joe Biden crime family thing, influence peddling scheme.
He's congressman out of California, right?
New York.
New York. Wow.
Why? Why can't a father say hi to his son's friends?
Oh, that's right.
That's
that
Dan
guy.
Goldman. That's all that was
yeah,
happening.
Yeah.
Who are your
He
little
can't-
friends? Who are your little friends? Tell them you can stay for dinner.
He's a grown man in his 40s, and he's hanging out with his little friends. Okay, sure.
Dan Goldman here with an important update on Donald Trump in New York, because Trump was in New York yesterday.
Yeah.
In a few hours, Trump will hold a rally on Long Island in a critical battleground district. Trump knows his campaign can't win New York, but he also knows that the path to the House majority runs straight through New York.
Oh.
Why does he care?
Why do you care, Dan Goldman?
Because he wants Mike Johnson, the architect of the 2020 effort to overturn the election, to be Speaker of the House on January 6, 2025, in order to execute a coup when Trump loses.
No, he did not.
We cannot
A
let
coup?
that happen.
Coup d'etat. I love it.
We cannot let that happen. So please write a check to Hakeem Jeffries post haste. Otherwise, there'll be a coup. I mean, of course, ironic because Jamie Raskin, a congresswoman from Maryland, the Stephen Van Zandt impersonator, he has actually laid out an approach to prevent Trump from taking office if he were duly elected on November 5th. So
that's right. I almost forgot about that.
wonderful projection. But I mean, I know we have said we tamp down the political rhetoric in the wake of assassination attempt number 1, assassination attempt number 2. We spoken out against political violence. But just so you know, when Trump loses, he's going to stage a violent coup at the Capitol. Just so you just factor that in. It's that sort of rhetoric that gets you Willie from Slidell, Louisiana, calling into C-SPAN and saying this.
Slidell, Louisiana, Willie, Democrat, good morning.
Good morning. I just want to say I'm a very patriotic American. I did 20 years in the military, 2 tours in Vietnam, wounded in 1966, went back in 68. Wow. And I look at myself and think about as a military man, we're supposed to close with, kill, capture, destroy the enemy by all means available. And to see we let this man Trump destroy America, and I look at it and say, well, these two people had to step up and take that shot. I'm 83, nothing to lose.
I'm sorry, Willie, you're not advocating violence, are you?
Not violence. I'm talking about defending my country.
All right. Dan, in Louisville, Kentucky.
Yeah, let's get to Dan in Louisville, Kentucky post haste. We heard enough from Willie. We don't want to know where Willie's going to go after that. So again, what Willie said is not illegal, but it's not helpful. What Dan Goldman said is not illegal, though it's borderline defamatory. You're accusing him. I mean, basically, you could argue you're accusing him of a felony in progress, as it were. Probably not, but it's right up to the line, I would say. But I mean, it's not criminal, but it's not helpful. Those distinctions not made by the KJPs and the other spokeshumans for the regime these days.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 6:36, we'll talk about that Fed rate cut with our friend Jim Urio. That's 6:36.
And what it means for you. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is the one and only Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
63 degrees at 6:31. GOP presidential candidate Donald Trump back on the campaign trail after an apparent assassination attempt over the weekend in Florida. Trump brought up the alleged attempt on his life at a campaign rally in New York. The Fed is announcing its first interest rate cut since the COVID pandemic. Wall Street investors say it's not a typical rate cut with the presidential election weeks away. Teamsters Union says they will not be endorsing a presidential candidate this election cycle. President Sean O'Brien saying neither major candidate was able to make serious commitments to the union to ensure the interests of working people are put before what he called big business. 12 finalists have been announced for this year's induction to the Toy Hall of Fame. Each year, the National Museum nominates 12 toys. This year's finalists include Transformers, Pokemon, My Little Pony, trampolines, and balloons. A showdown at Chicago City Hall yesterday. City Council will move forward with an effort to keep the ShotSpotter gunshot detection system in the city.
I hope, seeing the writing on the wall, that the mayor understands, to use his terms, this is the adult world. The legislature is compelling me to do something, and he will go ahead and execute a contract.
Following hours-long debate, aldermen voting 33-14 to approve an ordinance giving Police Superintendent Larry Snelling the power to sign a new deal. Mayor Brandon Johnson called the measure illegal.
Look, if people want a mayor who is going to appease folks, to just satisfy some of the proclivities that people might have, I'm not that person. I was elected to transform this city. And guess what I'm going to do?
A nonprofit is fighting plans to build a new Bears stadium along the lakefront.
We object to the site they have selected and the ultimate cost to our city and residents.
Friends of the Park's executive director, Jen Kilgore, the governor says there are no stadium deals in the plan for the fall veto session.
Right now, there's no building any new stadiums on the horizon.
The Bears respond by saying the nearly $5 billion project will increase jobs, green and open space. The bench trial looking to strike down Illinois' Pritzker gun ban could wrap up today. AM 560's Greg Bishop covering the trial for us in East St. Louis.
Day 3 of the bench trial for Illinois' gun ban featured plaintiff's witness Randy Watt. He served overseas in Afghanistan and Iraq, where he described the importance of having full auto rifles in battles with the enemy and said there weren't any semi-automatic only rifles in war. Back home as a law enforcement officer in fighting private self-defense training after retirement. Asked about the list of guns Illinois now bans, Watt said that they're all suitable for self-defense and different from military arms. Dane Harrell, a lead plaintiff in one of the consolidated cases, said Watt's testimony was powerful.
And he seemed to draw a clear distinction between the two. The semi-automatic firearms, which are available to American citizens, non-military, obviously have a place in our society for lawful purposes such as self-defense.
In East St. Louis, I'm Greg Bishop.
Chicago sports. Cubs dropped their series finale against the A's, a 5-3 loss. White Sox fell to the A's in L.A. in 13 innings, 4-3. The News is a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? Check if you qualify at almostfreeteeth.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Larry Elder sees the White House using a tragedy.
The president put out a statement. Ending this gun violence epidemic is personal to me. That's why I signed into law the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the most meaningful gun safety bill in decades. He took the occasion to immediately push for more gun control without knowing any real information about how the shooter got the gun.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you noticed all the ads for gold and silver? By now you know if precious metals are right for you. Quite frankly, most major dealers have roughly the same pricing models. Fox Valley Coins offers everything the other large national dealers offer, only with a local, personal touch. Fox Valley Coins will treat you like family. And if you want to stay anonymous, under most circumstances, they don't even need to know your name. Ha! Try that through the mail. When you buy directly from Fox Valley Coins instead of national dealers, you can pick out the actual pieces and they will scientifically analyze the items for authenticity right in front of you. That's a huge advantage. The reason is because 95% of fakes offered are purchased through the mail. Fox Valley Coins buys, sells, and performs appraisals of all precious metals, as well as rare coins and currency. Visit Fox Valley Coins in person, 1 light north of I-88 on Route 59 at Naperville-Warrenville border. Fox Valley Coins, family integrity for over 43 years.
Building owners, property managers, and chief engineers, this one's for you.
Hello, this is Bruce Diedrich with Waukegan Roofing, your professional roofer. Everything starts on top. Your investment, your building, and everything in it is protected by your roof. It needs to be in good shape. That's where we can help. If it needs to be repaired or replaced, or you think it might, call us. Let's find out. Here's the number.
847-623-1625.
At Waukegan Roofing, our employees are union-trained roofing professionals with OSHA safety training certifications and have thorough knowledge and expertise regarding the various roofing systems we sell, maintain, and install. We know commercial roofing systems because that's all we do. Over 110 years of doing commercial roofs. Waukegan Roofing has the slogan,
roofs you can rely on.
Because you can. Here's the number to call.
847-623-1625.
And get the info at waukeganroofing.com. waukeganroofing.com.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Dell Technologies and Intel are pushing what technology can do. Bring your ideas to life at Dell.com.
6:37. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center, and this update is a service of Indeed.com. They're all in one platform. Helps you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. Lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from their website, Indeed.com/credit. Solid traffic on the inbound Kennedy already. 65 minutes O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike right now in from 390, 1 hour into the old post office. Dan Ryan jamming up inbound in the locals. Garfield into the Circle, 30 minutes from 95th on in. And the Reagan right now slowing up eastbound right at Roosevelt Road. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Mostly sunny and 89 today. Partly cloudy and 67 overnight. 63 right now. Next news coming up at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So yesterday when the news was that feds were going to cut rates by 50 basis points, a friend of mine who used to be a trader posed this question to me. 10-year bond, Fed cuts rates by 50 basis points. 10-year bond yield goes from 3.65 to 3.71. What does that tell you? And I had an answer for him in terms of what I think it tells us, but let's get our friend Jim Urio's answer. He's the expert. He's also the host of the Future's Edge podcast, and he's a special contributor to wirepoints.org, as well as the proprietor of Brandt's Restaurant in Palatine. Jim, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So what is that? 50 basis point cut, 10-year bond yield goes from 3.65 to 3.71. What does that tell us? What's your answer?
Okay. I think there's a few answers, and it's nuanced. The most obvious one that's kind of a slap in the face is the market is telling us that there could be a resurgence of inflation, and I believe that that's valid too. And I think that genuinely could happen. But there's a couple other elements that could exacerbate the move too. There's been a lot of traders who have had on what was called the flattening trade, meaning they're long one part of the curve and short the other. And I don't mean to get too wonky here, but if they have to head to the exit, sometimes it makes for odd movements. But you know what I think is an underappreciated element of why 10-year yields are going higher? We are looking at an election coming up with two profligate spenders, one tremendously so and one, a little bit to be determined. If they keep spending the way they are, one, inflation will resurge, but just from the notion of how many bonds they're going to have to sell the Treasury in the long end to raise money for the ridiculous spending efforts will force long end yields up. So I am actually long that trade. I think 10-year yields are going higher, not lower, despite the fact they're embarking on this easing cycle. But to your point, I definitely believe that there's an inflation element to it, that they're about to spark it again, which would be tremendously stupid. I realistically think that Jay Powell should have came out and said, we believe that this new rate after 50 basis points is still a restrictive weight, and what we're trying to do to the economy is to slow the slow, not stimulate anything, because that could be inflationary, and we're all sick to death of inflation, and that could be a political time bomb.
Yeah, I mean, to my reaction was, that's a more detailed answer than mine was, of course, because you know this better than I do, but it's politics. The market's saying this is politics. It's an expression of knowledge that this is a house of cards.
I think there's no question there's a political element to this. Even if Jay Powell doesn't even know there's a political element, when you have senators like Elizabeth Warren getting people to sign a letter sending sending him saying, we need a 75 basis point cut now, which is obvious because I'm pretty sure 10 minutes earlier than that, she was talking about how great Bidenomics was working and how great the economy was.
Right.
So why in the heck would we need a 75 basis point cut now? But to think that there's a political element of this is completely reasonable. Everybody does what they do to protect themselves. And if he thinks that a new administration is going to fire him, sure, perhaps he's being a little bit political. I think there's no question that that's worth discussing.
He also said the cut was the beginning of a process to move the Fed away from a restrictive monetary policy, but added that the Fed policy is not on any preset course. Oh, good. That's what we like, unpredictability. I mean, we're not going to be restrictive, but don't say quantitative easing. We'll figure it out. We don't know.
You said the magic word there, quantitative easing, which is what I'm going to be looking for, because I just mentioned how many bonds they have to sell to fund their stupid spending. And if there comes a time where they start driving long-end rates up just by virtue of the amount of bonds, and the Fed comes back in to try to lower long-end rates, that's when I think it really hits the fan. That's when you want to be long gold, real estate, Bitcoin, if you believe in that stuff, things that are dollar proxies, because I do think we're coming to what could be a very, very difficult time. Over the last 3 years, we have spent money like drunken sailors to the tune of accumulating $1 trillion of debt every 85 days in a time when the economy was supposed to be good. Now, to put that in perspective, that was always available to any Fed and any president forever. You could make an economy look better by just spending and spending and spending. We didn't do that because we were worried about the ramifications of weakening our dollar. They don't seem to be as worried about that right now, and I think that there's a solid chance that comes back and bites us with inflation.
Yeah, you just mentioned Bitcoin. I don't know if you saw President Trump was at a bar in New York yesterday. He didn't, because he doesn't drink, but he bought a sandwich, and he used Bitcoin for the first time.
I think it's fantastic. So that is a big element of this election, is that both Trump and RFK have spoke at Bitcoin conferences, have told those Bitcoin faithful. I spoke at a Bitcoin conference actually on the stage right before RFK back in June, and one of the speakers said to the crowd of thousands, how many of you is Bitcoin your number one voting issue? And I expected 10% of the people to raise their hands. Everybody but me raised their hands. Really? So these people are fervent about Bitcoin, and they, I believe, it was a brilliant political move. I don't even know if Trump knows what Bitcoin even is. But if he thinks it's going to get all these voters, yeah, I'm all in. Bitcoin it is, baby.
Well, instead of buying burgers with Bitcoin for everybody, maybe you should have bought their car insurance for them with Bitcoin, because the Bureau of Labor Stats is out. And again, why people are feeling the squeeze. Car insurance prices, not just in Springfield, Ohio, car insurance prices nationally up 55% since Biden and Harris took office.
Yeah, and this, by the way, I keep once a week I put out a thing explaining how the inflation was a policy decision. The inflation wasn't like, oh my gosh, where did this inflation come from? The inflation was calculated. They took advantage of the seizing up supply chain to add $7 trillion into the economy to specifically spur inflation. Now, people might ask, why in the world would they do that? Because an inflationary environment is the only way these excessively debtor government entities, including the federal government and including the state that I'm standing in right now, that's the only way they can possibly manage the ridiculous debt is if a ton more money is injected into the system and we inflate away. It's called monetizing the debt. They're essentially paying the debts they owe with cheaper dollars. Now, the only way that works in the medium term is if these debtor government agencies are smart enough to understand what a golden opportunity it is to change their ways. Spoiler alert. Not only did they not change their ways, they're like, whoa, money's coming in, let's spend even more. So it did not work and will not work.
Yeah, actually, J.D. Vance mentioned this in his sit-down with Tucker, talking about his concern about a real debt spiral like this country has never seen because of the profligacy of fiscal policy and the the manipulations by central planners at the Fed.
Yeah. So I want people to know that a currency crisis and a debt crisis are the worst types of any sort of financial crisis. Like when the last time it happened in Caracas, Venezuela, the feral cat and the rat population disappeared because they became a food source. I'm not trying to be dramatic or hyperbolic.
Yeah.
They're eating the cats.
That's
They're
been
eating the
debunked,
dogs.
Jim. That's been debunked by the Springfield mayor. Said so. Yeah, okay.
Someone says eating cats, we all have to drink. I thought. But
yeah, right.
No, but this is it's a concern. Is it a big concern in the United States right now? No, it's not, because there's not a real currency that could step in and be what the dollar is. But is it a medium to long-term concern? Of course it is. Nobody has the reserve status forever, and always the hubris that comes with having the reserve currency status usually brings about the nonsense behavior that destroys your currency. That's why I've been telling people for 2.5 years, well, people, I'm not making any recommendations, but own gold, own real estate, own things that are going to go higher when the dollar goes lower. And guess what? The dollar's gone lower.
Well, so this rate cut is supposed to spur investment and
people are going to take out car loans,
and buy houses and so on and so forth. But is that real? I mean, what's credit? I mean, aren't credit spreads going to, based on what you're predicting? Aren't credit spreads going to widen? Is this really going to be incentive for positive risk taking behavior?
Probably not. Probably, I think he thinks rates are still restrictive at this level. What you said about credit spreads is interesting, because credit spreads are very, very tight right now. But I personally think that's a function. Remember, I said before about $7 trillion additional dollars being injected into the system. Now, some of those have been removed, but by my estimation, most analysts, there's still probably about an extra $2 to $3 trillion in the system above trend. Now, that money ends up in weird places. Like only when there's excess money are you sick of getting 5% on your 2-year Treasury yield, so you go out and get 6% on a high yield corporate. I'm just making up numbers. So that's a reflection of that. I don't think the fact that credit spreads are tight is an indication that all is well, which, by the way, I do think when those start to widen, I put that HYG ETF on was one of my charts up that I have in my desk every day, because when those start to widen, when that starts to go down, that could be the signal that burning timbers are beginning to fall from the ceiling, the house is on fire.
Yeah.
Does any of that make sense or no?
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. That's why I wanted to get your perspective on it. I mean, it's all of this, happy talk in response to the rate cut, but the actual reaction from those who know was much more muted.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think, again, I will reiterate again that he thinks he wants to keep rates in restrictive area, and he thinks this is still restrictive. At least that's what he's saying, unless he sees what I think is possible, and that's that the labor market has actually been trash for a year, and every statistic we get from the BLS is either nonsense incompetence or it's nefarious, trying to make us believe that there's a stronger labor market than there is. For the last 18 months, second and third jobs, part-time side hustle jobs are going through the roof, while career jobs, full-time jobs are going down. Also, government, healthcare, education jobs are going through the roof because of that government spending we're talking about, and private sector jobs are essentially stagnant. So for someone to look at the labor market and think it's good and strong, maybe we don't have 5% unemployment because we had a labor shortage and there's a little bit of labor hoarding still going on. But I think the labor market is trash and has been for a year, and I think Jay Powell knows that as well.
Let me tell you a little story about Illinois, something closer to home that will impact all Illinois families. Get your reaction to it. A few years ago, Governor Jellybelly, in his infinite wisdom, enacted a clean energy law, like all the lefties are doing, mandating the closure of all coal and natural gas-fired power plants by 2045. It also required a number of gas-fired facilities to be shuttered by 2030. Some people predicted that if you reduce the supply of energy, costs are going to go up. Imagine that. Oh, gee, I wonder how it turned out.
Who didn't predict that?
Yeah, well, you'd be surprised. Most of the General Assembly. So what's happening now? Payments to power generators in return for their promise to produce to their capacity when demand is highest are set to soar more than 800% and will raise all electric bills beginning next June. The charge is embedded in the rates users pay for power. It's in addition to the cost for the electricity itself. It's akin to an insurance premium. In the Northern Illinois territory served by ComEd, average residential electric bills will increase by $15 a month beginning in June due to this effect alone. That's according to ComEd. The increase will be significantly more pronounced for single-family homes than for multifamily buildings. All told, ComEd residential bills will rise by 10.5% due to that charge alone. Get prepared for the worst beginning in mid-2026. Morgan Stanley projects this insurance-like charge we're talking about that's going up 10.5% could be up 2,200% higher than it is today, inflating average monthly ComEd residential bills by more than $35 compared with current charges, and again, more pronounced with single-family homes, and on and on and on. It turns out that arbitrarily reducing energy capacity and thus supply increases cost, and it's going to be visited on Illinois families.
There are many brilliant economic analysts that I know who literally think that the single most indicator of an advanced and abundant society is how much energy is available at cost to every individual. This is a huge thing. But when I hear the things that they do, then this is a question I'm going to ask to you, because is this run-of-the-mill stupidity, incompetence, or is this nefarious? And because all the vectors seem to point the same way. Like if they're supposed to go right on an issue, they go left. They don't go a soft right. They go exactly opposite of the right thing to do. Now, if you want to usher in your new fairy dust energy policies, whatever, I'm not sure what things are supposed to run on. If you put gentle tax breaks in place to kind of provide incentives to go that way, that's fine. But to have these dictums where you're going to disrupt markets and drive up costs like that you're literally putting people into economic peril. And I personally think they're doing it on purpose, because then they were like, well, you guys have all these problems. Guess who's going to solve them? I think, it used to be that Rahm and Nancy Pelosi said never let a crisis go to waste. I think that's morphed into let's create a crisis and ride in on a white horse. And I know that's every time in my life I think I'm too cynical, I find out about 2 months later I'm not cynical enough. I'm curious to get your opinion. Do you think it's nefarious, or do you think they're stupid?
I think there are many people that are stupid who go along with the nefarious because they don't understand what's happening. That's most of the Illinois electorate, certainly in Chicagoland. It's definitely nefarious. You're right about the control issue. You just have to add, you're not being cynical enough again. You have to add in the kleptocratic angle, too. This is also, this is industrial policy and back scratching and feather bedding in exchange for campaign contributions and support and so forth. No different than, well, golly gee, isn't there a trial going on right now related to ComEd corruption in Mike Madigan's office? But, pay no attention to that. We've never been here before. I mean, honestly, you cannot be, you're still too much of a wild-eyed optimist, Jim.
That could be right.
Honestly,
yes, and like foreign wars, that money doesn't wind its way back into federal lawmakers' pockets either. You know what I mean? Come on, we are not cynical enough, people. It is time to wake up.
Jim Murio, host of the Future's Edge podcast, special contributor to WirePoints, wirepoints.org, and also, of course, the proprietor of Brant's in Palatine. Jim, thank you.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Are you confused by all the wild campaign promises and crazy political talk? You're not alone. Scott Tucker and the Scott Tucker Solutions team keep an eye on proposals made by politicians in Washington and in Springfield. Proposals that could impact your retirement plan. As laws change and programs are updated, it's important to have a retirement plan that can help protect your future. Your money needs to last past election cycles and weather any presidential or gubernatorial administration. Scott and his team can help you figure out the potential political impacts on your retirement plan. Get Scott Tucker's election stress test right now. Scott Tucker and the team at Scott Tucker Solutions will help you create a plan to navigate changes in our economy and in our federal and state governments, no matter who's in the Oval Office or in Springfield. To get your election year stress test, call 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. That's 847-474-3888 or go to 560retirement.com. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor.
Are your file cabinets stuffed with work orders, invoices, bills of lading, medical records, and or compliance papers? There's a solution to clear the clutter by converting your documents into accessible digital form with the help of IDT. They can scan your documents for you or provide you with the technology to transform your workspace with easy and innovative IoT smart connected scanning technology. IoT smart connected scanning not only captures your information, it connects your documents directly to your existing digital systems, ensuring seamless integration and immediate access. Plus, it works with your existing Microsoft Office 365 technology. Convert those physical files into secure, searchable, easy-to-find digital formats. Goodbye, paper chaos. Hello, streamlined, secure digital environment. Visit ready4idt.com. That's ready, the number 4idt.com. IDT, putting paper in its place.
It's Jeep Adventure Days at Bettenhausen Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, now open on 159th Street in Lockport. Bettenhausen has your ticket to anywhere. Hurry in and get huge savings off MSRP on a new Jeep Grand Cherokee or Jeep Compass. Bettenhausen has big savings on a new Ram 1500 or new Chrysler Pacifica. Bettenhausen has the Midwest's best selection. Choose from over 900 vehicles with no hassle and no haggle. Showroom never closes at cdjroflockport.com.
This is Seth Leibson for townhall.com. The recent attempted assassin of Donald Trump had recently tweeted out, "Democracy is on the ballot." Many of you will recognize that as a direct quote from Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Tim Walz, and other prominent Democrats. Will we read about this anywhere in mainstream media? When the would-be assailant of Nancy Pelosi in California kept yelling, "Where's Nancy?" media said he was parroting a chant from January 6th, the year before. Those nexuses will not be made here. Nevertheless, we have a Democratic Party whose leaders continually refer to Donald Trump as a racist and fascist and an existential threat to the Constitution and country. The head of the DNC claims the Republican Party is the party of fascism and fear. Kamala Harris has been saying Trump is the greatest national security threat to America. Networks like CNN and MSNBC platform so-called experts saying Donald Trump is worse than Hitler. Democrats and their allies in elite media have brutalized and hystericized our political and social culture. They must be called out.
AM 560, The Answer.
Mike Scott reminded us that energy crisis coming to Illinois. He asked that question when he moderated a Republican gubernatorial debate last cycle, and no Republican had an answer. Of course they didn't. Of course they didn't. Why you have the state you have.
I don't think they knew anything about it.
That's the point.
I know.
That's the point.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:07, Teamsters no bid the presidential race, 7:07.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Aldermen pass an ethics ordinance targeting mayoral donations from lobbyists. White Sox fall to the Angels. WIND Chicago News Time is 7 o'clock.
He praised Secret Service again. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, for thwarting the second Trump assassination attempt.
We've been going through a lot of it. We're getting very good at it, but I don't want to say that too loudly because we don't want to bring any jinxes along.
The former president last night on Fox's Gutfeld that aired after a big Trump rally, saying encounters with death.
They've only hardened my resolve to use my time on Earth to make America great again.
In Uniondale, New York, the former president vowed to improve the economy and close the border.
It is truly an invasion, and we're not going to let it happen. We're going to take those violent people, and we're going to ship them back to their country.
Vice President Harris is critical of that Trump plan.
The largest deportation, a mass deportation in American history. Imagine what that would look like and what that would be.
She addressed the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. The vice president has a 12-point lead among Hispanic voters in a new Fox News poll that also shows more voters by a 10-point margin support Trump immigration policy. Overall, the poll gives Harris a 2-point lead nationally, but she lost out on a labor union endorsement that typically goes Democrat. The Teamsters.
Neither former President Trump nor Vice President Harris will be getting their endorsement. The group polled its own members to get a sense of how they were feeling about the race, with the majority, 59%, saying they were backing Trump over Harris.
Fox's Mark Meredith at the White House. It's up to at least 37 people dead in Lebanon, thousands injured from exploding pagers and walkie-talkies and Israeli sabotage.
Hezbollah has been promising retaliation, and we've seen some rocket fire come over the northern border, some drone fire
fire as well, resulting in some injuries on the Israeli side. But it seems that Israel has been much more aggressive in terms of being offensive this morning. Israel struck at several targets in southern Lebanon.
Fox's Mike Tobin in Tel Aviv. And rapper Sean Diddy Combs denied bail again in New York City. America's listening to Fox News.
63 degrees, 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. A showdown of sorts at City Hall. City Council will move forward with an effort to keep the ShotSpotter gunshot detection system in the city on a 33-14 vote yesterday, approving an ordinance giving Police Superintendent Larry Snelling the power to sign a new contract with ShotSpotter.
I hope, seeing the writing on the wall, that the mayor understands, to use his terms, this is the adult world. The legislature is compelling me to do something, and he will go ahead and execute a contract.
However, Mayor Brandon Johnson afterwards called that measure illegal and said he would veto it.
Look, if people want a mayor who is going to appease folks, to just satisfy some of the proclivities that people might have, I'm not that person. I was elected to transform this city. And guess what I'm going to do?
A new ethics ordinance approved by aldermen is designed to punish lobbyists for contributing to mayoral candidates. City Council passing the measure yesterday after forcing Mayor Brandon Johnson to drop his opposition. The ordinance bans lobbyists from donating to a mayor or mayoral candidate's political committee. Friends of the Parks Executive Director Jen Kilgore says she'll fight plans to build the new Bears Stadium along the lakefront.
We object to the site they have selected and the ultimate cost to our city and residents.
The governor saying no stadium deals are in the plan for the fall veto session in Springfield.
Right now, there's no building any new stadiums on the horizon.
There will be an increased police presence at a northern Illinois high school today. It comes as authorities are investigating a reported threat of violence. Oregon, Illinois police learning about a threat planned for tomorrow. Investigators believe right now there's no immediate danger. Chicago police officer Luis Huesca's name was unveiled on the Gold Star Memorial Wall outside Soldier Field Wednesday.
Your heart and your soul saying that he's traveling somewhere, that he's going to come back, and seeing his name makes it real that he's not. That's what I was thinking.
Sister Lily O'Brien, Superintendent Snelling, and the mayor attended a candlelight vigil that followed, honoring Gold Star families. Cubs dropped their series against the A's with a 5-3 loss in the finale at Wrigley Field, while the White Sox lost to the Angels 4-3 in 13. The news, a service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk is excited for election 2024.
Here's the good news. We are in a better spot of any Republican candidate in 20 years. Going back to 2004, we have not seen a Republican candidate be in this favorable of a spot from polling to grassroots movement in over 20 years.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here with urgent news. The world's central banks are making unprecedented moves, and it's time to pay attention. In 2022 and 2023, they bought more gold than ever before. And now in 2024, the trend is accelerating. Why? Because central banks have lost faith in the dollar. And in these uncertain times, gold is the ultimate safe haven. If you too are worried about the dollar, I urge you to take similar action by diversifying your IRA or 401k into gold with my trusted friends at Birch Gold Group. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. I trust Birch Gold. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax advantaged status. So text PROTECT to 989898. That's PROTECT to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and healthcare, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
7:07. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this update is service of the Chicago Board of Election Commissioners. Chicago needs election judges for the November 5th presidential election. Earn between $170 and $230 for your service. Go to pollworker.chicagoelections.gov to learn more and apply. Eden's 40 heavy minutes, Lake Cook Road to the junction. The Kennedy right now at an hour 10, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike at an hour 15, 390 into the old post office. Outbound, you're jammed up Cicero to Des Plaines Avenue. Dan Ryan coming inbound right now. You're jammed up in the Express, 63rd into the Stevenson. And delays this morning as you travel in Cicero. Both north and southbound Cicero between Pershing and 31st are shut down due to a fatal accident investigation. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Another very warm day. Lots of sun today. The high at 89. Partly cloudy warm tonight. Low 67. Partly sunny warm. A thunderstorm in the area tomorrow. The high 84. Partly sunny. Remaining warm on Saturday. The high at 86. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560. The Answer.
63 at O'Hare. Your next news update 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. J.D. Vance's conversation with Tucker Carlson covered a lot of ground. And I thought two of the comments he made were particularly salient and connected. First, on the real fight that is before Trump, Vance, the rest of the country, the real fight beyond November 5th.
You hear all this talk about threats to democracy, right? And the biggest threat to democracy in this country is not like Donald Trump using legal maneuvers to challenge the 2020 election. The biggest threat to democracy is that the bureaucracy in Washington, D.C. is fundamentally misaligned with at least half the country, right? Yes. So what I worry less about is like, are they going to let Trump win? Well, it's not going to be easy, but I actually do, sitting here right now, maybe I'm wrong, but I do feel very confident that Trump's going to be elected president, that he will be president. I think the real fight is going to be when he becomes president and he tries to do things, they're going to take him down and try to take him down in a very big way. And that's where the real fight is going to be.
Right. So when he tries to do things like deport people in this country illegally, and make no mistake about it, he's making no mistake about it. That's front and center. He said as much in New York yesterday.
Now the border is 25 times worse than it was in 2016. Now the border is not even believable what's happening. And I want to be known as your border president. I'm going to be known as your border president.
Border president, well, they're the administrative state and all of its private sector allies may have something to say about that. That's the issue. J.D. Vance understands it.
So number one, I really worry about the minute we start doing anything on the deportation front, like you have 25 million illegal aliens, you and I have talked about, I think it's the biggest threat to our country. You have got to get these people out of the country. You are going to have a reaction from the media, from the tech sector that's unlike anything that we've ever seen. It is fascism come to America. When we tell people who have come here illegally, you have to go back home, right? That is going to be a major focal point.
And just in case you think Vance is overstating the fight before us, or that's in the offing, and this all is predicated on Trump winning, of course. Here's Kamala Harris on the topic.
Now they have pledged to carry out the largest deportation, a mass deportation, in American history. Imagine what that would look like and what that would be.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
Yeah, well, that was sort of a little add-on there, but not an actual Donald Trump campaign message, but certainly that's the point. And when Kamala is, again, offering her typical general, haughty, indignant, imagine what this would look like in the direction of Trump, she's talking about how horrific and inhumane and all it's going to, again, all be those appeals to the heart, to the sentimentality of the barbarian set in this country. And that is a significant cohort. It will not come easily. Let me give you an example, too, just how what you're dealing with. Good example. And so you can already see this coming into focus. Catherine Rompel is some dingbat columnist for the Amazon Post and, of course, CNN contributor. She posted this meme yesterday. A friend sent this to me. Yes, and it's a meme of a immigrant and says, Schrodinger's immigrant. And by the way, Schrodinger, what was his thought experiment in quantum mechanics? What did it involve? What did it involve? You've never heard?
No.
Schrodinger's cat.
Meow meows again?
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
People of Springfield, please don't eat my dog. Here's a catalog of other things to eat.
They're eating the dogs.
Oh, yeah.
They're eating the cats.
You get the picture.
Oh, why did you turn it off?
So see, now you like it.
Well, no, I'm addicted to it now. Now I'm singing it while I'm walking through the hallways here.
So Schrodinger's immigrant. And by the way, this is a misapplication of Schrodinger's. Not just about paradoxes, but this is what I'm talking about. Catherine Rompel needs a smarter friend. She clearly does. Schrodinger's immigrant. On the one hand, lazily collecting all the welfare, but on the other hand, somehow taking all the jobs. And this is supposed to be people who believe in border security and are opposed to illegal immigration somehow are awash in contradiction. Well, let me try and explain something to Catherine Rompel, and maybe you can explain this to your friends who have at least a little bit of open-mindedness. When you let, 10, 12 million people into this country with very thin efforts to background check, and you make no particular distinctions of those who are coming more likely than not to be productive versus those who are coming more likely than not to be destructive. It turns out you get a lot of different people doing a lot of different things. Some are here for the welfare benefits. Some are here to work. Some are here to commit crimes.
Some are here to suck off our government.
Well, right. So some people
hang out at the beach. It's been a beautiful September.
Some people are good and well-intended and want to assimilate into this country and access the opportunities available in this country, and some don't. What a revolutionary concept. You could say the same thing about Americans. 340, 50 million people. That's a mixed bag, too. Some here that want to be wards of the state. Some here that don't.
Some want to suck off the government. Stay home.
But it speaks to how disingenuous are the contentions of the left. And the memes are useful. I like them. And they're great source, particularly when they're incisive, great sources of ridicule that speak to a larger truth. But, I mean, it can't be the sum total of your understanding of a particular issue. But unfortunately, it is for members of the D.C. press corps. And to Vance's point and Kamala Harris's intimation, this is exactly what they're going to be up against. And I'm not talking about memes. I'm talking about the administrative state, the layers of bureaucracy. Even if you put Tom Homan in at ICE, Mark Morgan at DHS, or switch them. I'm talking about people who are serious about border security and know how this is supposed to go. And even if you have cooperation from the front line, you've got layers and layers of bureaucracy in all of these agencies, and agencies that are supposed to be complementary, that sometimes are, and sometimes they're in conflict. There's redundancies in terms of power overlap. So, I mean, this is not going to be snapping your finger, even if you have competent people that are committed to it, in addition to an Oval Office that's willing to spend political capital. So I think Vance is right to make this front and center in terms of understand what the real fight is and how difficult this is going to be, even when you're pursuing sort of common sense policies that are reflective of the majority will. It's not going to be easy. Jordan in Antioch.
Good morning. I was calling in because I was trying to get ahead of the Teamsters thing. Is it inappropriate to talk about that, or?
No, you can segue us into Teamsters. Yeah, I mean, this is appropriate because it's the same thing going on there, right? Trump, the Teamster polling, Trump 58-31 over Kamala, and Sean O'Brien's position is we're not going to take a position. We're going to let our members make their own decisions. I wonder if it was 58-31 for Kamala, if he would be taking the same position.
Right.
Well, and that's the thing I wanted to comment on. I think people need to understand what happened here with this. Is 22 years I've been a Teamster, and it's the first time that we've been polled to ask what the members think who the members think the union should back in the election. And you see the results, and they publish the results, but the leadership can't say we're going to back Donald Trump. But they kind of did by saying our members do. But I want everybody to take this into see the big picture on this. This is not Chicago local. This is international.
Right.
This is the international Teamsters nationwide that are saying, by and large, they support Donald Trump. And I would like to see what would happen if you polled and publicly published the results of iron workers, steam pipe fitters, plumbers, electricians, operators, all those guys, right? And you would see where the members are falling, and it lands across a whole plethora of reasons. But the basic reason that everybody supports this Trump is our lives were better, and the downside of that is they will publish and say that, the Teamsters backed Biden during the last election. No, they didn't. The leadership did. The members didn't.
Yeah, well, so Jordan, you're a Teamster, right?
Yep.
All right, so I want you to listen to what Sean O'Brien said on Cavuto yesterday, since he'll probably never talk to you. You can respond. We'll have a little debate, you versus Sean O'Brien. Sean O'Brien goes first. Take a listen.
Well, listen, we interviewed both candidates, and we were seeking commitments from both candidates, and we couldn't get solid commitments on our core issues like the PRO Act, like vetoing national right to work, like staying out of labor disputes and not trying to force any contracts on us, like what happened to our brothers and sisters in the rail industry. We didn't get solid commitments from either candidate, which was a major factor in our decision as a General Executive Board not to endorse any candidate. However, we did a lot of polling, as you know, and the polling leaned heavily towards former President Trump. So that tells you that
very heavily, Sean. And I'm just wondering, do you look disconnected from your members?
No, we're definitely not disconnected from our members because, look, we did extensive polling that was important. Our goal as leaders, as union leaders, as leader of the Teamsters, is to provide the ability for people to have a voice and to provide credible information. And we cannot dictate to our members. Our members are sophisticated. They're going to make their own decisions. But this is a bigger problem. You know, the Democrats have always taken for granted that they're going to get our vote no matter what. And the Republicans are fancying themselves as the working people's party. I think right now both sides have to take a step back and really reevaluate what their commitment is to working people. And that's what we did in this process.
All right, Jordan, the floor is yours.
Well, I think he's partially disconnected with where we're at. The key thing that the members are looking at, I know they're looking at other things. They're looking at that, work like your operators are looking at like heavy highway guys are looking for state money, so they're trying to back those guys so they got jobs. And so are we, in a certain extent. We're looking for the regulations because of the fuel costs, insurance, roadway taxes, all that kind of stuff. So I can understand their position on that. But what I can't understand is when you take a poll and the majority of the members, and we're a union, we're a brotherhood, so we go by kind of by majority, right? So when the majority of the members are saying this is the guy that we want, we kind of expect that when you give us that poll, we expect that when the majority comes out, you say this is the guy we want. The simple fact of it is 22 years I've been a Teamster, right? During the Obama years, my pension was 25% underfunded because they weren't making enough money because of where they had it, and they had it in the housing market, right? Central states, in Wisconsin, their Teamsters went back. They had like 8-inch thick roads, and you better get real used to your garbage not getting picked up on time because we ain't making it, right? Same with your cost. If you want to go all electric, you better get used to paying a whole lot more for your goods because it's going to cost more to get there. It's going to cost more to build the vehicles. Everything's going to go up. So as a Teamster, when you're talking transportation, how can you back that? So I don't have an answer for you, Dan. But I think the important thing is that poll that they published, that shows where the members are at. And I want everybody to understand, when that crap comes out and everybody says, oh, you're a union guy, so no. Our leadership pushes that. The members are conservative guys. They're patriots. They're Americans. They want safe streets. They want their kids to grow up in a place that we grew up in, and they want to be successful and work their butts off and be able to hand their kids something when they're all said and done. We are not all teachers union members.
No, right.
So,
Thanks for the call, Jordan. And maybe it's time to reevaluate your leadership.
Yeah.
If your leadership is not moving in the direction that you want them to move, then it's time to find new leadership.
I mean, the Teamsters haven't endorsed a Republican presidential candidate since 1988, and this is the first time in about 3 decades that the Teamsters just aren't endorsing a candidate. And, of course, President Trump last night saw this as a win.
Earlier today, I was honored to receive the endorsement of the rank-and-file membership of the Teamsters. But, this hasn't happened in so many decades. We won the overwhelming majority of the local chapters and the members, and as a result, the national organization has refused to endorse the Democrat candidate for the first time in many, many decades.
Maybe they should have heard from General Stephen Anderson about how inspiring Kamala is going to be and how she's going to sit down our enemies with
her mixed marriage.
The story, that her personal story is so compelling, and what it says about America that it's going to usher in a period of milk and honey.
Her love of lawns.
Keith in Morton Grove.
Morning, Dan, Amy. Thanks for taking my call. So the first election I was able to vote in was George W. And since then, I can't remember a time where this election has been this extreme from both sides. Where do you see it? Where do you think it changed? Was Hillary and Trump maybe just a perfect storm? And then, going forward, I know with the evolution of elections, what can we change to make it more a democracy of a people's vote? Go back to paper and pen? Because it's bound to have a cyber effect on the country.
Thanks for the call, Keith. I mean, just in terms of simplifying and securitizing elections, single day. It's exactly what Peter Thiel said the other day on that All In podcast. I mean, and many people have said this is not, again, terribly complicated. Make it a single day. Limit absentee ballots to literally to military serving overseas or Americans overseas, people that have a discernible medical condition, they can't make it to the polls. Those sorts of things. Just
how it used to be, Dan.
Sensible. Voter ID laws, paper ballots, the things that most other Western so-called democracies employ when it comes to their elections. In terms of how we got here, I mean, we've talked about this many, many times, but you have to succinctly to say, you have to look at this in a continuum. Think about what both parties have done, particularly over the last 2 decades, and the impact it's had on middle-income families, striving lower-income families, and particularly the 8 years of Obama and Trump as a reaction to that, and then the decade of Trump. Think about the dynamics there, and I think the answer will become obvious. Peter in Barrington.
Hey, Dan. Hey, Amy. Thanks for taking my call. First things first, I just want to say now I know why Sean Thompson always talks how he does about the unions, specifically the Teamsters, because of how corrupt they are. But secondly, or how corrupt the hierarchy is. But secondly, I just want to talk to you about something I saw yesterday. There was a clip from C-SPAN of a caller who was basically saying how he was proud of the courage those two people had to try and kill Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying how he served for our country and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I just find it funny how they say that we incite violence, yet they have these schmucks on their side who really incite it and support it.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Peter. We played that call of Willie from Slidell, Louisiana, that who was quickly dumped after it became clear that he was supportive of taking out Trump, though he didn't make a threat himself.
Why doesn't FBI go visit him instead of visiting Jeffrey Kaufman, who had a post that wasn't even violent?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that FBI needs to visit Willie from Slidell either. He's wrong, but he didn't make a threat. I mean, obviously he's wrong. But
a lot of people are disappointed that Trump didn't get assassinated.
Well, I mean, the Rasmussen survey that came out yesterday, we talked about 28% of Democrats say it would be better if Trump were killed. That's where it's at. It's a sad commentary.
Forget the fact that he's a father and a grandfather and a husband.
Well, they've done a good job of dehumanizing him.
Yeah.
So that is where things are at. All right, coming up at 7:37, we've got Senator Ron Johnson, Republican from Wisconsin. Of course, we'll talk a little bit more about immigration or illegal immigration's impact on small communities like Whitewater, Wisconsin. Also, do we have to dust Bob Mueller off to do another collusion investigation, but this time one directed at the Democrats and their Iranian partners in peace? 7:37.
But first, let's stop by that newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
7:30 on AM 560. The Answer: 20 are dead, hundreds are injured after walkie-talkies exploded in Lebanon on Wednesday. The bloodshed came just one day after pagers belonging to Hezbollah terrorists exploded, killing more than a dozen. Businesses in Springfield, Ohio are still getting threats because of rumors about immigrants. Local police yesterday evacuating 2 Walmart stores and 2 Kroger locations as the city faces an ongoing backlash over more than 20,000 of Haitian immigrants dumped in that city. Federal Reserve announcing its first interest rate cut since the COVID pandemic.
Our economy is strong overall and has made significant progress toward our goals over the past 2 years. The labor market has cooled from its formerly overheated state. Inflation has eased substantially from a peak of 7% to an estimated 2.2%.
Jerome Powell, Wall Street investors say it's not your typical rate cut with the presidential election just weeks away. Kentucky authorities say they found the body of the alleged I-75 shooter. Officials on Wednesday say they found a body they believe is that of 32-year-old Joseph Couch.
Finally, today we come back, and there's about 50 vultures up there. So we got our boots on, started down over the hill, and got way down through there. I've had a cold for the last 5 or 6 days. I can't smell nothing. And she'll all of a sudden say, oh, God, I smell something.
Fred McCoy is a retired police officer and searcher who found the body. Couch allegedly shot 5 who were traveling down I-75 in Laurel County, injuring them last weekend. The West Coast Teamsters this morning are breaking with the national chapter. They're making an endorsement for President Kamala Harris. Former President Trump reacted to the news that the national leadership declined to endorse a candidate this year.
Teamsters carry a lot of weight. The Democrats cannot believe that. And, look, it was always automatic that Democrats get the Teamsters, and they said we won't endorse the Democrats this year. So that was an honor for me.
A showdown at Chicago City Hall, harkening back to the council wars of the early 1980s.
I hope
seeing the writing on the wall, that the mayor understands, to use his terms, this is the adult world. The legislature is compelling me to do something, and he will go ahead and execute a contract.
The city council will move forward with an effort to try and keep ShotSpotter gunshot detection systems working in the city. Aldermen voting 33-14 to approve an ordinance giving Police Superintendent Larry Snelling the power to sign a new contract with ShotSpotter. Mayor Brandon Johnson called that measure illegal and said he would veto it. Chicago police officer Luis Huesca's name was unveiled on the Gold Star Memorial Wall outside Soldier Field Wednesday. The 30-year-old Huesca was shot 10 times while carjacked in front of his Gage Park home. Trial continues today for a man charged in the deadly 2021 shooting of a police sergeant in Bradley. Darius Sullivan is accused of shooting Sergeant Marlene Ritmanek to death and wounding Officer Tyler Bailey in December of 2021. Chicago sports. Cubs lost to the A's 5-3, while the White Sox fell to the LA Angels in 13-4-3. The news service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup, hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees a weird twist to the immigration issue.
You know, the issue of assimilation. Residents of Springfield, Ohio, reporting that Haitians are eating their family pets, killing the ducks and geese in the ponds. It's another gift of the Biden-Harris mass immigration plan.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
You've heard Remke's Garage commercials on AM 560, and now they specialize in servicing Sprinters and light-duty diesels. But the experts at Remke's also service Isuzu and Chevy low-cab forward trucks. So if you own an Isuzu or Chevy low-cab forward truck but aren't sure where to get it repaired, take it to Remke's Garage, your #1 dealer alternative for repairs to your Isuzu NPR, Isuzu F-Series, or Chevy low-cab forward truck. Whether gas or diesel, your truck is the lifeline of your business. That's why Remke's Garage offers free loaners while your truck is being serviced. They'll even pick up and deliver for your convenience. Remke's Garage has the factory scan tool to properly diagnose Isuzu and Chevy low-cab forward trucks. Their commitment to your business is backed with a complimentary maintenance plan and free 2-year warranty. Go to remkesgarage.com to learn more about their specialization in Isuzu and Chevy low-cab forward trucks and schedule your appointment today. That's Remkes, REMKES, garage.com.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and healthcare, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
If you maintain an industrial plant, you know your dust collection systems are a vital part of the operation of your plant. Without them, things can get dusty quick. And when your dust collection system malfunctions, the downtime can cost your plant money. Time to call the professionals at Vans Industrial for help.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, owner of Vans Industrial. At Vans, we work with many different types and sizes of dust collectors, from 1,000 CFM to 100,000 CFM. If your system needs housing repair, tube sheet, pulse valves, ductwork, or collection hoods, give us a call. Schedule an inspection today to keep things running smoothly and avoid costly downtime. And when you're ready for a new dust collector, we can design your system from the collection hoods to the stat for plants of all size applications.
Vans uses only the best and safest union-trained mechanics insured at the highest level to perform the job right. Call 833-VANS-IND. That's 833-VANS-IND. Or on the web, vansindustrial.com.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
7:38. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this traffic update is quick delivered by Quick Delivery Service. When you need reliable same-day delivery to clients, trust their 40 years of experience for peace of mind. Get a quote at quickdelivery.com. The Kennedy at 90 minutes, O'Hare into the Burn Circle interchange. Stop and go on the outbound side between Montrose and Canfield on your way out to the big airport. That will cost you about 1 hour. Inbound on the Ike, 90 minutes, 390 into the old post office. Stevenson inbound from the Tri-State into DuSable Lakeshore Drive is 1 hour. Delays on the Tri-State northbound jamming up between Archer and the Hinsdale Oasis. And delays this morning as you continue in Lindenhurst. Route 132 at Mallard Ridge is shut down with an accident. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast, mostly sunny and 89. Currently 64. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560. The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. CBS affiliate filed this report on Whitewater, Wisconsin, and the challenges that community is facing with the influx of people in this country from other countries.
Migrants first started arriving in early 2022. The traffic has picked up. On December 28th, Whitewater's police chief and city manager wrote a letter to the White House. They're asking the Biden administration for help as this city of about 15,000 handles an estimated 800 to 1,000 migrants.
I'm not going to lie, we did close for 2 weeks at one point just to sort of reassess how we were serving the needs of everybody.
Christine Zabayos, director of the community space, says there was not a huge increase in visitors, but they were seeing a lot of people with no idea how the space works.
Sometimes we felt that we had people who were maybe taking more than they needed just because they didn't know they could come back.
For the city, the strain was more severe. The letter states police are struggling to watch the entire community because they're seeing 3 times the number of unlicensed drivers. Then, the city says it bought, quote, costly translation software so police could communicate with migrants when handling traffic cases up to more serious cases, including sexual assaults and the death of an infant.
We have a broken legal immigration system. We have a broken illegal immigration system. The illegal immigration system has gotten so bad that we have to solve that first.
Congressman Brian Stile is among more than 60 House Republicans trying to make that point by visiting the southern border. As for why so many migrants have ended up in Whitewater,
I think there's a lot of assumptions as to why it's playing out in Whitewater, but obviously once you get a handful of people, they're going to reach out to their friends, their neighbors, their relatives, and that's part of the process.
Yeah, and then friends, neighbors, relatives, extended family can just come here at their leisure. They dictate terms to us. That seems to be the problem that is afflicting a lot of small communities around the country.
And at Whitewater, they're mostly from Nicaragua and Venezuela.
And this was Kamala Harris's response to the challenges that communities like Whitewater and Springfield, Ohio, and Aurora, Colorado, and Charleroi, Pennsylvania, and so many others are faced with. This was a response in that confab she had with black journalists this week.
It's a crying shame. I mean, my heart breaks for this community. You know, there were children, elementary school children, who it was school photo day. You remember what that's like? Going to school on picture day? Who were dressed up in their best, got all ready, knew what they were going to wear the night before, and had to be evacuated. Children. children.
Mm-hmm.
She's talking, of course, about the fake bomb threats that came from overseas.
Mm-hmm. And she was actually talking to adults. I know that surprising given the way that she speaks, but she was actually talking to a crowd of adults, remarkably. For more on this and other matters, pleased to be joined by Wisconsin Republican Senator Ron Johnson. Senator Johnson, thanks for being with us.
Happy to be with you.
So, you are obviously well aware of this and have been speaking to these problems. I mean, where does it stand? What do you say to the residents of places like Whitewater, Wisconsin, about the current situation?
Well, first of all, I'll give CBS, that local station, credit. That's a very accurate report.
Yeah.
But again, they're talking about 800 to 1,000 in Whitewater. There's more in the surrounding region, but that's 1,000 migrants. That's the tip of the spear here, okay, or of the iceberg. And it can impact in the community as significantly as it is. That few can impact the community as significantly as it is in Whitewater. So the concern is that we, again, are only seeing the tip of the iceberg of the negative consequences of Harris's. I mean, let's face it, she's mourning, I guess, the impact of a major influx, 20,000 Haitians into Springfield. Okay, a town of about 60,000. That overwhelms. It ends up being a clash of cultures, okay? But even that's the tip of the iceberg. But she caused the problem. We can never forget that. Democrats wanted an open border. The border was largely closed when they took over. But they wanted an open border. As candidates, they all said they're going to end deportations, offer free health care. That attracted more people. They ended Title 42. They threw the border open. In December, we had more than 10,000 people per day on average. Since Biden took office, 7,000 people per day average entering this country illegally, not with valid asylum claims. They're finding new ways of doing it, so it appears to be a legal process. They're just making it a legal process, misusing parole, flying people in, not interviewing people at embassies before they give them visas. I mean, this has been a flood. The 6 to 7, 8 million people CBP reports is not the full count whatsoever. We really are talking, I think, well over 10 million people, and it's going to overwhelm the systems. Again, law enforcement, schools, they have the same translation problems, by the way, as in the schools. The bilingual teachers don't speak the same dialect, so this is massively expensive, and it's not only impacting places like Chicago and New York, but little towns like Whitewater, Wisconsin are also being impacted. But again, it's just the tip of the iceberg.
But who's deciding where they go? Why are they ending up in Springfield, Ohio, or Whitewater, Wisconsin?
We don't know. I mean, I think it's really DHS, and that's Mayorkas and his band of merry men and women that are making these decisions. And then was also accurately reported. You guys might have said that is once you have a population of Nicaraguans, whatever, they've got cell phones. By the way, they all have cell phones.
They give them.
They're coming across the border. They have cell phones, and they start talking to their family, their friends, and they attract them to that same area. I mean, it's happened in Minneapolis with Somalia. You have the Haitians in Springfield. We'll probably have more Nicaraguans in Whitewater and the surrounding area. So that's just natural human tendency to do that. But again, DHS, they don't tell us what's happening. They're not talking about these midnight flights. Again, this is all under the radar, and unfortunately, the legacy corporate media helps them cover it up. They don't report on the midnight flights. They mock the J.D. Vance and Trump when they talk about the clash of cultures in Springfield. Again, I don't know the truth exactly. Cats or dogs or pets or geese or I don't know, but I totally believe J.D. Vance that he's getting calls from his constituents on this and is responding to them. But regardless of the absolute truth of that, it is the clash of cultures, but even worse, the brutal gang members that are part of this migration that are taking over apartments. So again, Central America, if you're a police officer, you're going to get a DVD from the local cartel or gang showing your children and wife going to school or church. That's just the opening threat to make sure that they can commit their crimes with impunity. Is that what America is going to turn into? And of course, they're going to do it in small towns and small regions. That would be the easiest place, the easiest takeover are small little towns.
Well,
intimidate the law enforcement, intimidate the population. That's what we're in for here.
Well,
this open border process.
They're the easiest towns, and they're also often what I keep invoking Chris Arnott, the photojournalist, what he calls back row Americans, middle or working level, or working class American families who are irrelevant to DC elites. They don't care. So they don't care what happens in Springfield,
Did they have
Ohio.
the big map out where they're like, okay, we'll go here, we'll put them here? Or do they want to just focus on swing states? Because it seems like, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio.
Colorado, Alabama, not exactly. I mean, I think it has a lot to do with, class politics.
Yeah, listen, I don't trust the Democrats to do anything above board or really for the benefit of people. It's all about the benefit for their electoral politics. So I think an awful lot of the illegal immigrants are being shunted into blue states to increase their census count, so they get more members of Congress to really accomplish their goal of a one-party nation. That's what this is all about. They want total control of our political system, of our government, of our lives.
Well, something else that the political ruling class in D.C. is ridiculing is Americans who are concerned about all these illegal immigrants who have been invited in voting in the November election. And yesterday, a 6-month funding bill for the federal government that included a measure to require proof of citizenship in order to vote lost in the House, with 14 Republicans joining the Democrats in voting against it. What does that say about the Republican Party's wherewithal on this issue, even if Trump were to be elected? I mean, are we going to have another situation where even if you had Speaker Johnson with a slim majority and a new Senate Majority Leader, Republican, with a slim majority, you have a lot of Republicans that are squeamish about what Trump and Vance are proposing and, frankly, what is required?
Yeah, what it says is we have two slim majorities. That is correct. And a few Republicans voted against this for a number of reasons. It didn't have a chance in the Senate anyway. So, yeah, I appreciate the effort just so we can talk about the fact that Democrats are opposed to putting in controls to make sure that illegals don't vote in our election.
Mm-hmm.
Non-citizens. I mean, they're happy. Let's face it, Democrats want to make it easy to cheat. That's why they're relaxing all these controls. That's what pushing absentee balloting and mail-in balloting is all about. Is let's make it easy to cheat so we can game the system, so we can gain total control. That's what that's about.
I wanted to get your reaction to this too. Maybe we could dust off Bob Mueller, because he's an expert in collusion investigations. U.S. intel agencies said yesterday a group of Iranian hackers hacked Trump's campaign and attempted to share that information, the information it hacked, with Joe Biden's campaign. I mean, if we can, if they can go after George Papadopoulos, and maybe there's somebody in the Biden campaign that Mueller or a special prosecutor should be investigating, I'd love to put the question to Merrick Garland about the standards when it comes to these sorts of investigations. And here, unlike with Trump, you actually have evidence of an Iranian operation, if you will.
Well, do not hold your breath expecting equal application of justice under Merrick Garland. It's just is not going to happen. But again, I'll go back to in the end, the main culprit in all this is a highly biased media, very few journalists left, mainly advocates for the left, who continue to cover up for the Democrats and push their leftist views. I mean, that is the real danger to our democracy. You wouldn't have the corruption of these agencies. You wouldn't have the multiple systems of justice being applied to Democrats versus Republicans versus the rest of us the way that's happening if we had an honest media that held both sides accountable. I'm not looking for special treatment. I just want an honest media that investigates, that's inquisitive, that is really on, doing the work on behalf of the American public as a free press. That's not what we have today in America, and our nation's in peril because of it.
The free press doesn't even believe in a free press anymore. That's how bad it is. But but just on the slim majorities question, we spoke with Scott Walker earlier this week, and mentioned about slim majorities and the majority that you're seeking in the Senate. Majority could be less slim if you could have some surprise victors like Eric Hovde in Wisconsin. And I wonder how you're feeling about Trump in Wisconsin and Hovde.
Well, yeah, I'd love to have Eric Hovde as a colleague. People listening can certainly support him. That'd be helpful. But, by and large, it's a ground game. It's a grassroots effort. So, the Republican Party of Wisconsin, we're doing all the right things. We're encouraging early voting. People are going to vote right away, and then spend that time from when you voted to Election Day to get other people to vote early, so that they were ahead on Election Day rather than the 300,000-400,000 votes we're normally behind. So we've got the grassroots effort out there. We're knocking on doors. We're identifying the lower propensity voters that our Get Out the Vote effort will be targeted toward on Election Day. They'll decide the election. So we're doing what needs to be done. But Wisconsin is a classic, purple state. I mean, we are very evenly
A tight race too, for example.
No, it's just what I said: ground game, ground game, ground game. You need ads. You need to tell a story. People need to think you're genuine. That whether they agree with you or not, that you firmly believe what it is you're saying. I think I've proven that time and time again over my years of service here. But in the end, in terms of winning elections, it gets down to those mechanics and having, field staff and community captains and just the nitty-gritty, down and dirty, get out the vote effort.
Senator Ron Johnson, Republican from Wisconsin. Senator Johnson, thanks as always. Appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
If you're a business owner, manager, HR director, anybody that needs to hire people and staff, and you're in McHenry County, this is for you. How's it going? Do you have the people you need? How's the quality of your applications? How much time do you spend on staffing issues? It's a problem, isn't it? You've tried all the job postings, career sites, and nothing is working. Internet job postings just don't work anymore. Are you finally ready to do something that works? Contact Express Employment Professionals in Crystal Lake. It's working for their clients. Express Employment Professionals in Crystal Lake has people that they are placing. They find out what you need and get you those people. Better employees, less turnaround, just better results. Stop the madness. Make Express your staffing partner. And get back to running the business and being a good capitalist. Express Employment Professionals for McHenry County. Go to expresshires.com. That's expresshires.com. Or call 815-788-8556. End the understaffed cycle.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
It's Jeep Adventure Days, and Bettenhausen Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram on 159th Street in Tinley Park has your ticket to anywhere. Hurry into Bettenhausen and get huge savings off MSRP on a new Grand Cherokee, Jeep Wrangler, or Jeep Gladiator. Bettenhausen has big savings on a new Ram 1500 or new Chrysler Pacifica. Bettenhausen has the Midwest's best selection. Choose from over 900 vehicles with no hassle and no haggle. Showroom never closes at BettenhausenCDJR.com.
Chicago needs election judges for the November 5th presidential election. You must be a U.S. citizen and a registered voter in Cook County, and you can earn anywhere from $170 to $230 for your service. Are you bilingual in Spanish, Chinese, Hindi, Polish, Korean, or Tagalog? The Chicago Board of Elections definitely needs your help. Go to pollworker.chicagoelections.gov to learn more and apply.
Hi, I'm Michael Alfaro, host of The Michael Alfaro Show. Join me each week as we tackle the issues you want to know more about, like foreign and national policies, how big money influences Washington, D.C., and so much more. Learn firsthand from elected officials and political insiders about the important policy decisions changing our world. Find me at michaelalfaroshow.com and then join me, Michael Alfaro, every Saturday evening at 7, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
The myth of voter suppression. Fred Lucas from the Daily Signal joins us at 8:08.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
The very latest on the Chicago City Council voting for a ShotSpotter contract. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Unite for America. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what Oprah Winfrey's calling her event tonight for Vice President Harris.
While we fight to move our nation forward to a brighter future, Donald Trump and his extremist allies will keep trying to pull us backward.
The vice president addressing the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, critical of the Trump plan for mass illegal immigrant deportations.
How's that going to happen? Massive raids? Massive detention camps?
The former president said in Uniondale, New York last night.
We're going to get these violent criminals behind bars. We're going to get them out of our country. We're going to take them back to the country from which they came.
It was the first big Trump rally since the second assassination attempt.
These encounters with death have not broken my will. They have really given me a much bigger and stronger mission.
He also thanked the Teamsters for not endorsing Vice President Harris. Leader Sean O'Brien tells Fox.
You know, the Democrats have always taken for granted that they're going to get our vote no matter what.
The union did not endorse Trump either, but an internal poll of Teamsters members shows a wide majority support him over Harris. A new Fox News poll gives the vice president a 2-point lead nationally and a 12-point edge over Trump among independents. Today, the former president will meet with Jewish leaders as Israeli airstrikes hit Hezbollah in Lebanon after the militants had fired rockets.
That follows that two-day flurry of violent espionage, pagers, walkie-talkies, and solar equipment all exploding. The total from the electronic sabotage, 37 dead, more than 3,000 injured.
Fox's Mike Tobin in Tel Aviv. A vote to fund the government to avert an October shutdown fails as some Republicans oppose 6 months of spending and Democrats oppose a provision requiring proof of citizenship when registering to vote in national elections. House Speaker Mike Johnson tells Fox.
We'll go back to the playbook. We'll draw it up. We're already hearing good ideas from our members, and we got time to fix this, and we'll get it done.
A rally is brewing on Wall Street the day after a 0.5% interest rate cut. Dow futures are surging higher. America's listening to Fox News.
64 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. City of Chicago is expected to announce today plans to combine the migrant and homeless shelter systems. It's been dubbed the One System Initiative. It's the newest effort by the city to help the homeless and asylum seekers and others here in Chicago. Backers say the One System proposal will provide thousands of beds for Chicagoans and new arrivals. Fatal crash investigation has shut down Cicero Avenue between 31st and Pershing Road. Crash involving a semi and a motorcycle happened around 6 a.m. this morning. The cycle and a semi collided, resulting in that crash and then afterwards a fire. The City Council will move forward with an effort to keep the ShotSpotter gunshot detection system in Chicago. Following an hours-long debate yesterday, aldermen voting 33-14 to approve an ordinance giving Police Superintendent Larry Snelling the power to sign a new deal with ShotSpotter at a discount. Mayor Brandon Johnson called the measure illegal, saying he would veto it.
Look, if people want a mayor who is going to appease folks, to just satisfy some of the proclivities that people might have, I'm not that person. I was elected to transform this city. And guess what I'm going to do?
The use of technology in Chicago is set to end Sunday. Cubs dropped their series against the A's with a 5-3 loss. White Sox fell apart in extras, falling to the LA Angels 4-3 in 13 innings. Bears dealing with some injuries. Wide receiver Keenan Allen, offensive lineman Tevin Jenkins among 4 who missed practice yesterday. The news service of Turnkey.pro. For less than the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, and real-time threat hunting. Protect your small business today. Visit turnkey.pro. 8:04. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. And now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth MacDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The Bank of England this morning left interest rates unchanged. It had lowered rates in August for the first time in 4 years. Here in the U.S., applications for mortgages to purchase homes and for refinancings have jumped as the Federal Reserve cut its key interest rate by 0.5% yesterday. Economists say much of the rate cut was already baked in, though, and it would be surprising to see a substantial drop in mortgage rates this week. Barron says if your rate is 6.9% or higher, it could pay to refinance. Amazon is raising base pay for its fulfillment and transportation workers. It's going up by $1.50 an hour to more than $22 an hour. Also, hourly team members in the U.S. will receive Prime membership at no additional cost. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Cosilda. Invested in you.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka can see Harris stretching the truth again.
We have 5 million assault weapons on the streets of America. We've got to deal with this.
How mandatory is your gun buyback program?
It's mandatory.
5 million assault weapons on the streets of America. It's weird. I have lots of quote-unquote assault weapons. None of mine are walking around the streets of America.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, Eric here with Ultimate Tax Group. If you owe back taxes to the IRS or state, personal or business, my team and I want to help you take your freedom back. Call Ultimate Tax Group at 888-505-1099. We will stop or prevent bank levies or wage garnishments. We care and fight for our clients. Call us today, 888-505-1099. UltimateTaxGroup.com.
For anyone with everyday aches and pains, I've got a question. What are you missing out on? Probably a lot. So let me tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In about 3 weeks, you'll discover what it's like to feel better. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
Hey guys, Donald Trump Jr. here with urgent news. The world's central banks are making unprecedented moves, and it's time to pay attention. In 2022 and 2023, they bought more gold than ever before. And now in 2024, the trend is accelerating. Why? Because central banks have lost faith in the dollar. And in these uncertain times, gold is the ultimate safe haven. If you too are worried about the dollar, I urge you to take similar action by diversifying your IRA or 401k into gold with my trusted friends at Birch Gold Group. To see how it works, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. I trust Birch Gold. They provide an easy process to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold without losing your tax-advantaged status. So text PROTECT to 989898. That's PROTECT to the number 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold.
Message and data rates may apply.
8:09. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of our friends at Waukegan Roofing. For commercial roofing, replace, or repair, contact the company that has been replacing and repairing commercial roofs in Chicago since 1914 and shares your values. WaukeganRoofing.com. Emergencies, welcome. Willowbrook at accident 75th and Route 83 as you head toward Hinsdale South High School. Cicero, Route 50, both directions shut down between Pershing and 31st with an ongoing fatal accident investigation. Route 53, accident southbound at Devon. Reagan, I-88 jamming up eastbound Roosevelt into the tri-state, and heavy travel times on the inbound Kennedy. And watch out for an accident with a left lane block inbound at Foster, almost 2 hours. O'Hare into the circle. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Today, mostly sunny, very warm day. Our high today up to 89. Partly cloudy, warm night tonight, low 67. Partly sunny, warm, a thunderstorm around tomorrow, the high 84. And then partly sunny, another warm day on Saturday, the high at 86. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
64 at O'Hare. Next news, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Well, this was a fun little interview that Nancy Pelosi gave to a journalist from Semaphore. In case you were wondering what the established spin is, the official spin from the central office on the installation of Kamala to replace Biden, the criticisms that Democrats are the vanguards of democracy, but they don't practice what they preach within their own party. Nancy has an answer for that, and it's a screamer.
You had reportedly said you wanted a sort of an open primary if Joe Biden stepped down. Did you change your mind because you saw all the excitement around Kamala Harris?
No, I didn't change my mind. We had an open primary and she won it. Nobody else got in the race because she was politically astute. And but that was the thought. Let's show our talent. We have a great bench, all these great people in the country. And the president endorsed her. Yes, people could have jumped in. There were some people who were sort of preparing, but she just took off with it. And actually, it was a blessing because there wasn't that much time between then and the election, and it sort of saved time. So it wasn't that we didn't have an open process. It's just that nobody got in because she had a running start.
Oh, I mean, what a sack of lies. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when Nancy Pelosi was on CNN and saying disparaging remarks about Kamala Harris and Biden's choice to pick her as the vice president. She wasn't happy with it.
Well, it was a blessing. It just serendipitous worked out that way, but she just built a better mousetrap, did Kamala, when it came to that open process. Sure.
There's no open process.
I can tell you that the good news is that the Democrats have as much concern for election integrity with respect to the general election as they do with respect to the replacement of a candidate for their party. Exactly the same respect for election integrity. You heard it right there from Nancy Pelosi. Ooh. Fred Lucas is a manager of the investigative reporting project for the Daily Signal. He's also the author of the new book, The Myth of Voter Suppression. Fred, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
And before we get to voter suppression specifically, I mean, I'll give you an opportunity to take a swing at what Nancy Pelosi had to say about the open process.
Well, it was fairly ridiculous. I mean, yeah, it did come out, I think, in a Wall Street Journal interview, like right around the convention time, that she said she wanted an open process, and she largely took credit for pushing Biden out. But I mean, we did see an interview. Gavin Newsom had even mocked the fact that it wasn't an open process.
Right.
And everybody knows Gavin Newsom was hoping to jump in there and be the guy, the heir apparent to Joe Biden, because as everyone that has a pulse remembers, the only reason Joe Biden was even running for another term for a long time was because Democrats thought that there was no way they could win with Kamala Harris.
Right, exactly. But Gavin Newsom, real quick, he wasn't, I don't know what's going on with him, but he didn't even get a Tuesday noon slot at the 18,000 encampments, and those tents are going to all be gone.
Well, the other thing is, too, if you put him in a...
They were on for Xi's visit, so...
Yeah, well, we got to prepare for company, sure. But the other thing is, if you give Newsom a prime slot, and you say, well, that guy's even slimier than Kamala Harris, he should be our nominee. So you don't want the competition. Right. Speaking of elections generally, so this book, The Myth of Voter Suppression. Tell us. I mean, I think we sort of understand all this idea that the voter ID is preventing anybody from voting is ridiculous. There are like no stories. There are real stories about voter fraud. There are no stories about a specific person who is prevented by another specific person from exercising their franchise. But I mean, just in terms of the intricacies associated under the heading election integrity, what should people understand, particularly perhaps as it relates to battleground states?
Well, yeah, in battleground states, we had a story yesterday, went up on dailysignal.com regarding how even some on the left are how they lauded mail-in balloting so much in 2020. Now there's even a few Democratic officials who are worried about it, that think the Postal Service is not prepared for this. And I write quite a bit about that in The Myth of Voter Suppression, how a lot of the whatever you say about the 2020 election, I mean, obviously there were some didn't go great, but there were a lot of things thrown out there that weren't provable. What is provable is that there were election rules that were changed, election rules about when ballots had to be postmarked by and so forth, and battleground states like Pennsylvania. A lot of those things are being cleaned up this year. At least in Arizona, Georgia, we've got some election reform laws that passed actually in 2021 to clean that up. Even Pennsylvania banned Zuckerbucks. So
and recently in Pennsylvania, they said you dated and unsigned absentee ballots will not be counted or should not be counted.
Yeah, right. But then there was also some litigation over that, so we're going to see where that goes before the election. But yeah, so I mean there is some risk about mail-in balloting, but it does seem that some of the issues that we saw in 2020 probably won't repeat themselves in 2024, but maybe new issues will come about.
And so the left's opposition, we saw this yesterday in the continuing resolution that would have included in the House that failed, which would have included a voter ID requirement. The left's story about enfranchisement, because they don't talk really about ballot integrity. They're always talking about enfranchisement, and you're making it more difficult to vote, and you're preventing people from voting. I mean, again, I sort of offered a conclusion about that, but give your perspective as somebody who's done more research on it than me.
Well, this is something a story I've got coming up, and the Daily Signal is going to be looking at these battleground states and the number of voting age non-citizens there. Now, there's almost 800,000 voting age non-citizens in the state of Georgia. That's the largest number. About 800,000 in North Carolina. Interesting, those both have larger non-citizen populations in Arizona, which is a border state. They have about 600,000. Pennsylvania, a little over 500,000. But I think the big point here is that past research has shown about 6.4% of non-citizens have voted in presidential elections. If you have 6% of that many people, of 800,000 people voting, that could swing some of these swing states that are decided by 10,000, 20,000 votes. So that's something to keep an eye on. And particularly, we see why Democrats might have been so passionate to oppose the SAVE Act.
Well, right. And speaking of Arizona, you mentioned the Maricopa County Recorder's Office just reported this week nearly 100,000 Arizonans have registered to vote in the 2024 election without providing proof of citizenship. Now, they don't have to, but some of them may be citizens. You just don't have to provide it, so it's not provided. But it certainly is an area of concern, and it necessitates some ballot integrity infrastructure on the, perhaps some litigation ahead of the election and some ballot integrity infrastructure in the form of poll watchers and lawyers and such.
Right. And what we're going to see, particularly if Trump wins, if Democrats lose, they are going to say this was voter suppression. They're going to say these voter ID laws suppress voting. They're going to claim that removing the names of dead people from voter rolls suppress the vote, and so forth.
Suppress the vote of the dead.
Right. Yeah, that's never been a problem in Chicago, has it?
Right.
But the fact is, there's clear proof, clear evidence of past election results that were flipped because of voter fraud. This has often been U.S. House races or local elections. Usually, the more local, the more likely they are to be flipped by fraud. And there's been people who have gone to jail for voter fraud, adjudicated cases. As you mentioned earlier, however, to contrast that, as much as voter suppression has been a great soundbite for Democrats because it harkens back to a really bad time in American history, in modern times, they cannot point to a plaintiff who can say, I tried to vote and was prevented from doing so.
Yeah, and in fact, the evidence, where it's been most bandied about, I could go back to the special elections in Georgia for Senate and just the whole that whole saga in 2020 and slightly beyond. Stacey Abrams, because she was sort of a national figurehead for this, voter suppression, they're suppressing the black vote. And then you had historic black turnout, both in the 2020 presidential and as well as in the special elections for the Senate. So, all the evidence is to the contrary. They have no evidence to support their claim. So they just run around saying, any sort of reform is Jim Crow 2.0, which is exactly what Biden said. Voter ID is the modern day poll tax and all of this other nonsense. And I don't know. They seem to get away with it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's really shameful to say that. You use that kind of rhetoric, right? It's those are Jim Crow 1.0 was really a sort of an apartheid state in the southern states, and that was just a really horrible time. It's like comparing an inconvenient situation to war or something along those lines. It's you can't compare showing ID to that, and then most people don't mind. That's one thing about voter ID. It polls extremely well, around 80% among all the population, and among 60-70% among African Americans and other minorities, and even really high among actual rank and file Democratic voters. So rank and file Democratic voters, you just ask a person on the street, they don't see a problem with voter ID, but it's Democratic politicians and operatives that don't like it.
Yeah, and some scaredy cat, not to invoke Springfield, Ohio, but scaredy cat Republicans, too, that are afraid of being called a racist, and so they'll do anything to not be called a racist, however illegitimately.
Yeah, and he did see an unfortunate number of Republicans bailed just to get any funding bill yesterday on that CR without passing the SAVE Act.
Exactly. Fred Lucas, manager of the Investigative Reporting Project for the Daily Signal, dailysignal.com, and the author of The Myth of Voter Suppression. Fred, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Do the proposed tax and estate planning changes have you concerned about your future? The time to prepare is right now. Take advantage of a no-obligation conversation with a member of the Wealth Management Group team. It's a complimentary conversation focused solely on you, your goals, and how changes can impact your family's future. Call 833-WMG-PLAN or visit investwithwmg.com.
Securities and financial planning offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
You hear more and more about identity theft in the news every day. That's because so much of your personal info is out of your control, like your insurance provider that has your Social Security number and your favorite retailer that has your payment details. If they get breached, your information's vulnerable. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code PLAY at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
I'm going to let you in on a wireless hack that can cut your cell phone bill in half. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, they want you to think that unlimited data is fantastic. Well, the fact is, it's not. Pure Talk, my cell phone company, only charges you for data that you need. With just $25 a month, you get unlimited talk, unlimited text, 5 gigs of data, plus mobile hotspot. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, and do it now. You'll save an additional 50% off your first month. Save money, same service with Pure Talk.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. Your business and your money are in good hands with Signature Bank. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Jason Zenger, owner of Zenger's Industrial Supply and host of the Making Chips podcast, and a proud customer of Signature Bank. Through rapid growth, acquisitions of competitors, and taking over from the previous generation, Signature Bank was there with us every step of the way. Recently, the team introduced us to FinRails AP, their proprietary system for accounts payable automation. Not only did FinRails AP help us to reduce costs and create efficiencies, but it also helped minimize fraud risk. Now, our company can invest time into what we do best, supplying industrial products, metalworking tooling, contractor tools, and safety supplies to those who make, build, and create great things for our country.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
What a waste of time, money, and vacation days. Hi, Amy Jacobson here. And if you've had a bad knee or hip replacement surgery, you know exactly what I'm talking about because sometimes the surgery doesn't even work. But there is an alternative, QC Kinetics. Check it out before you go under the knife. QC Kinetics uses your own body's properties to repair damaged joint tissue due to arthritis or an injury. Folks, it's regenerative medicine. Think about it. If you cut your hand, it eventually heals. But don't take my word for it. Find out for yourself with a free consultation. And what's really cool is the fact that Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, the National Medical Director and former orthopedic surgeon, is located right here in the Chicago area. Call now to end your chronic pain and learn more about QC Kinetics. They have new locations in Gurnee and Crystal Lake. Saturday appointments available. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Are you a driver of a Ford Power Stroke diesel engine? Tired of taking your Ford Power Stroke diesel in to be misdiagnosed or paying for repairs that don't fix the problem? Well, bring your vehicle to the diesel headquarters, Remke's Garage. The shop is equipped with state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and highly trained technicians. Take it to the experts. Take it to Remke's Garage. Remke's Garage specializes in Ford Power Stroke, Chevy Duramax, Dodge Cummins, Mercedes Sprinter, and Isuzu diesel engines and transmission repairs. At Remke's, they'll make your vehicle repairs convenient by offering a free commercial loaner vehicle.
Remke's Garage, where you won't spend $1,000 to fix a $100 problem. Call for details and to schedule an appointment at 800-5-REMKES or visit remkesgarage.com. Remke's Garage, your diesel headquarters.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, speaking of California, as we were, and conversation about Newsom and Harris, they seem to be losing their minds in San Francisco. And by the they, I'm unfortunately including the men and women in uniform. San Francisco has some problems when it comes to public safety, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a bit curious that San Francisco police officers are out on the streets dressed in giant chicken costumes.
What? And let me see. I don't know. What are you talking about?
Dressed in giant chicken costumes to entrap drivers that don't slow down at crosswalks.
Are they holding a sign or something and spinning it? What do you mean? They're just in giant chicken uniforms.
I mean, this guy is just in a giant inflatable chicken uniform, and he's slowly walking across the crosswalk, and when cars don't stop, they get a $400 ticket.
You should be in one of those balls so that if a car hits him, he just rolls down the street. You know what I'm talking about? Those inflatable.
He's the decoy chicken, and when you see him inch out into the crosswalk and somebody just blows by, then you see a cop on a motorcycle chase down the car to write a $400 ticket.
Did you say a chicken?
A chicken.
Chicken
It's a chicket.
It's a chicken. That's.
I'm not kidding.
No, that's hysterical.
I'll name names. Lieutenant Jonathan Ozal wore a flamboyant inflatable chicken costume as he attempted to navigate a crosswalk. Is that a turkey or a chicken?
No, my turkey.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
That's you know what? It's gonna come here.
It's
gonna happen here.
He said, if you don't see someone, the officer, if you don't see someone in a giant chicken costume, then we really have a problem. That's not the only problem we have.
I hope he doesn't relieve himself in the crosswalk. Hey-o.
They make 12 to 16 grand every time they do this vaudeville routine in the tickets that they.
Did furries apply for that, or can they?
I mean,
it's a side hustle.
It's
clown world.
Well, if it's all current in San Francisco, then maybe we can look forward to inflatable chicken Chicago police decoys to issue tickets for crosswalks. We're going to need it because Brandon Johnson and the Alderhumans are going back and forth about whether or not to accept their salary increases. So we don't want them to have to not get rewarded for the job they've done. Maybe these pedestrian tickets can help finance worthy causes like Brandon Johnson's $230,000 salary and the $150,000 salaries of the Alderhumans.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll hear from Gen Z, Ethan Watson, who is working towards his master's in accounting at University of Kansas, and he wants to go into politics. There's no place for accounting in politics. Ethan Watson joins us at 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom first. Here's Mike Scott.
68 degrees at 8:32. 20 are dead, hundreds injured after walkie-talkies explode in Lebanon on Wednesday. The bloodshed just one day after pagers belonging to Hezbollah terrorists exploded, killing more than a dozen, wounding 2,800. Federal Reserve announcing its first interest rate cut since the COVID pandemic.
Our economy is strong overall and has made significant progress toward our goals over the past 2 years. The labor market has cooled from its formerly overheated state. Inflation has eased substantially from a peak of 7% to an estimated 2.2%.
Early on, Wall Street investors are reacting positively. Kentucky authorities say they did find the body of the alleged I-75 shooter, the body of 32-year-old Joseph Couch.
Finally, today we come back, and there's about 50 vultures up there. So we got our boots on, started down over the hill, and got way down through there. I've had a cold for the last 5 or 6 days. I can't smell nothing. And she'll all of a sudden say, oh, God, I smell something.
Fred McCoy was a searcher and a retired police officer who found the body. Couch allegedly shot 5 traveling down I-75 in Laurel County, Kentucky last weekend, injuring them all. The West Coast Teamsters this morning are breaking with the national chapter, and they are endorsing Democrat Kamala Harris for president. Wednesday's announcement came shortly after the national Teamsters leadership declined to endorse a candidate this year. The city of Chicago is expected to announce today plans to combine the migrant and homeless shelter systems, and a fatal crash has shut down Cicero between 31st and Pershing on the city's south side. Cubs lost to the A's 5-3. White Sox dropped a 13-inning affair in Los Angeles to the Angels 4-3. The news, a service of In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard Sunday morning at 6:30, right here on AM 560, The Answer. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk can see the disconnect.
The propaganda that was being put forward. I'm Kamala Harris, and I want a tax cut for middle-income families. I'm Kamala Harris. And, of course, the question is, well, why haven't you done it already? Why haven't you done the middle-class tax cut? She doesn't believe it. It's just pure political propaganda for power. Is that there's a disconnect between what people are seeing on television and what's happening on the ground.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm worried about Mom. She's having a tough time moving around the house.
Oh, I know. She still thinks she can do everything on her own.
Exactly, but I've been over there every day this week, helping her navigate the stairs, cooking meals, reminding her to take her medicine. I'm always nervous when I leave.
You know what? I admire you for taking care of Mom. But your family needs you too. And what if she slips and falls? A friend recommended the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. They service Cook, DuPage, Kane, and Will counties. They guarantee compatibility and they'll conduct a free safety assessment of her home. Plus, they'll provide as little or as much care as Mom needs.
Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, offering both hourly and live-in care. Schedule a free assessment today by calling 331-281-0728. That's 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
Hey AM 560 homeowners, are you tired of all the money and repairs going into your house? Need an easy solution to convert your home into cash? This is Jeff from JeffBuysYourHouse.com. For nearly 20 years, our trusted, proven, and professional team has been simplifying the home selling process in Chicagoland. Here's the deal. You are in control. Pick the closing date that works best for you. No need to worry about repairs or any cleanout. We will buy your house as is, saving you frustration, time, and money. That's right, a fair cash offer within 24 hours, and we actually buy your house. No funny business. With our simple process, there are no fees and no commissions. You can trust our proven, professional, and credible service. Our local, high-integrity, and veteran-owned team will go above and beyond to make it stress-free. Sound interesting? Sell your house to the trusted source by calling us at 630-895-9530. That's 630-895-9530 or JeffBuysYourHouse.com.
8:37. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of Lowe's. Save big during Pro Savings Days at Lowe's. Right now, save big on appliances like the GE Stainless Steel Kitchen Suite. Because Lowe's knows pros. Valid through 9/27. Selection varies by location. An accident on the Edens left lane. On the inbound side, right at Elston, 43 from Lake Cook Road into the junction. An accident on the right shoulder inbound at Montrose. On the Kennedy right now, it's an hour and 30 minutes from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike is solid. Jammed up inbound 17th to Damon. 90 minutes into the old post office. Delays continue on the Stevenson outbound between Ashland and Cicero. And delays as you travel on I-80, an accident blocking two left-hand lanes westbound between the Tri-State and Pulaski. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Sunny and a high near 89. 68 right now. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Is there any hope coming up with Gen Z as they make their way through college and into the workforce? Very interesting. There's a big divide among 18 to 29-year-old men versus women in their voting patterns, as we've talked about before. So the issue really is, in terms of Trump and Republicans' ability to make inroads among that 18 to 29-year-old demographic, you got to get more turnout from the guys. In point of fact, guys, it's not the same margin. I mean, the Democrats and Kamala Harris enjoy a 20-plus point margin among 18 to 29-year-old women. But Trump and Republicans enjoy an advantage, majority of young men, 18 to 29. Problem is, in part, that 18 to 29-year-old women turn out at about 5.5% higher rate, percentage point higher rate than do men. And so closing that gap a little bit, in addition to, I don't know, doing something, and I don't know what, to speak to 18 to 29-year-old women. Maybe our next guest can help us. He is Ethan Watson, Young Voices contributor, working towards a master's degree in accounting from the University of Kansas, the Jayhawks. He wrote a piece in Real Clear Politics. Gen Z should not be fooled by Kamala's sudden seriousness. Ethan Watson, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, I mean, give us some insight. What do we do about these? Your college-age chicks, the girls that you go to school with. What do we do about them?
Well, I feel like, people my age in general, men or women, we got a little cynical during COVID, which is a whole other thing. I don't understand the psychological reasons why that happened, but I know we got cynical. And normally I see us applying that cynicism to all kinds of things in daily life. Right? I don't really drink the Kool-Aid. We're just there for a little utility benefit. We go up to the guest speaker, but only because we want the free T-shirt. Right? That's the thing I noticed from my generation. But we've turned that sniffer off for Kamala Harris. I think it's because she's made politics palatable again. And what I mean when I say that is, over the last, 10 years, ever since people my age have been politically aware, on the one hand, you've got this political correctness, which is this ridiculous puritanical regime where one wrong turn of phrase and they'll try to ruin your life. Then on the other hand, you've got Donald Trump, who's hyperbolic and brash, hilarious, but understandably off-putting, especially to women. But how I would approach this is, I'm not out here to make a moral case for Donald Trump over Kamala Harris. Frankly, Donald Trump's not someone I would want to date my daughter. But the case I make when I talk to my friends is that he will provide us that utility that we're looking for, at least better than Kamala will. And I don't feel like Kamala's policies are going to help anyone my age, man or woman, in this period in our life when we're trying to settle down, have a family, buy a home, all that good stuff.
You think that sort of sterile utilitarian argument is going to move people? I mean, what I see, and this is up and down the age demographic and across the gender divide, although it is much more significantly pronounced with women, particularly single women, is they want fake nice and beautiful lies. They want people being pretend nice, like Kamala Harris, telling them beautiful lies about what's happening and what is going to happen if particular policies, to the extent that they're even articulated, are pursued. That's it.
I find it hard to believe that people would be happy with pretend nice when they're, all their prices are going up. At least I would hope that they don't believe that. When their prices are going up, they can't buy a home. And so I think what people care about when it comes right down to it is their pocketbooks, is their money, is their day-to-day life. People my age grumble a lot that no matter who's in power, nothing really changes. But we did see some changes over the last 4 years, and we got a worse economy and a less safe world, which is another point I want to bring up. up is because, when the world gets less safe, it's people my age that have to go fight those wars. It's people my age that are traveling abroad that are at risk. And so
yeah, but the rub is it's people your age. Again, particularly women. I know we're trying to avoid this, but I don't want to.
This woman wants to ask a question.
But it's people your age that are supporting Kamala by like a 60-40 clip. Well, more than that.
I'm calling on people my age to kind of turn back on that BS detector and see through this sort of insulting pandering with the Megan Thee Stallion and the Mark Hamill endorsements.
How embarrassing was that?
About what's going to do
Mark
better.
Hamill.
What's going to do better for us?
Does anybody your age even know who he is?
Do you know who Mark Hamill is?
I mean, there was a Star Wars movie that came out a few years ago. It was pretty bad, but
but
I
he
don't
was
know.
in it. Oh,
Yeah, he was. He was terrible in it.
Right, but what are your Kamala Harris supporter friends? What do they like about her? Do you ever are you inquisitive about that? Why are you voting for her? Why are you supporting her?
Well, a lot of times it's more of an anti-Trump vote, right? It's like, oh, well, how could you vote for like a rapist or he's literally racist or something like that? And it just shows me that, people my age have been lied to a lot. So that's why I don't even try to engage them on those grounds, even though I understand that they're not right on any of those issues. I don't try to engage on those grounds. I try to just take it back to the utility arguments. Like, look, again, I'm not going to stand here and tell you Donald Trump is like a great man, like he fit to, date my daughter, like I said earlier. But, when was your family better off? Were they better off, 5 years ago? I feel like we're all old enough to remember at least a little bit of how we were doing. And like, they grumble. I take little openings when I get them, right? So like we were out the other night and everyone's like, man, this pizza used to be $2 a slice. Now it's $4 a slice. I'm like, yeah, shocking. How did that happen, you guys? Like what could have changed in the last 4 years? But I think people my age are really keen, attuned to prices, and that they're paying a lot more, and they'll only get more attuned to that as they enter the working world, and have to start paying for more of their own stuff.
But it's a brat summer, Ethan, and Taylor Swift has endorsed Kamala, and we're having fun.
I hope now that she's had to get serious on her policy because people are making fun of her, that people my age will sort of see her for the Joe Biden 2.0 that she is, because she really is Joe Biden doubled down. I mean, she literally is ripping her policies straight off of his campaign website. And more than that, what people my age I feel like want is a change from the status quo. A lot of times, they grumble about how nothing ever really changes, no matter who's in power. And Kamala Harris is the most establishment candidate we've ever had. And so on the one hand, that might be comforting to her, but to people my age. But on the flip side, she's really, really establishment. And if people my age are unhappy with the status quo, we're supposed to be the change agents. Then maybe we should take a look at the bull in the china shop that Donald Trump is, and not the candidate that was swapped in at the top of the ticket that literally no one has ever cast a primary vote for.
I don't know about these undergrads or recent grads. Again, just the male female dynamics. What is the interaction on campus like? I mean, we've seen, maybe not so much at University of Kansas, but we've seen actually campuses that are very different one to the other. For example, what happened during the pro-Hamas encampments in places like Ole Miss or North Carolina versus what was happening at Ivy League schools or Northwestern, some other school, UCLA. So, I wonder, where you think, it's that utilitarian argument, the slice of a pizza, that can only take you so far because there's such an emotional quotient to this whole discussion, isn't there?
That's absolutely right. And frankly, when I'm talking politics, I would prefer that we were talking about sort of the philosophical and moral implications. But unfortunately, I don't think, my generation is there yet. We don't, people my age don't understand, the concept of natural rights versus duties and things like that. So I think that's why we have to engage them on the utilitarian grounds, because that's the only language that people my age really understand. As far as the dynamic on KU's campus goes, it's not a really too political campus. We had like a small pro-Hamas encampment that lasted like 2 days or something until a thunderstorm came along. But I think I actually just saw that we're getting rid of.
As long as the weather's nice. Yes, right.
yeah, exactly. And then, we're getting rid of, I just saw recently, some of like the LGBT, like sex and gender studies, like centers, or they're combining them, or they're paring them down a little bit. So it's not the most politically fraught campus. It's not NYU or Columbia by any means. And honestly, it doesn't come up a lot among people my age around here. I think because people are afraid to talk about it. So that's kind of why I'm trying to do this, and why I started doing this is I want people my age who think like I do to start speaking up a little bit, because it can be daunting, it can be intimidating. You can feel like you're the only person who believes what you do. I promise you're not. I get so many private messages from people that I never would have thought agree with me after I've started doing this, saying, we're with you, this is great, support this. And so just earnestly and honestly putting yourself out there and saying what you believe is how we're going to win this thing.
Ethan Watson, Young Voices contributor, working towards a master's degree in accounting at the University of Kansas. Ethan, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, and hope to have you back. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
IT support, how can we help?
Hey there, we have a huge problem. Our network crashed and our entire assembly line is down. We're losing thousands of dollars an hour. Can you help?
Please hold.
What are they saying?
They put me on hold.
We gotta get this line back running now.
IT support, who are you holding for, please?
Oh, hi. I need help. My network is down. I've been on hold for over...
Sorry, wrong call. Please hold again.
Sound familiar? Don't let a network problem cost your business thousands of dollars. Turnkey is the champion of small businesses. For the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with the most secure, up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, and real-time threat hunting. All by world-class technicians who really care about helping people. Protect your small business today. Visit turnkey.pro today.
Hey, buddy. Good to see you back on the golf course. You must be feeling better, huh?
Yeah, I finally got my blood pressure under control without all the medication side effects.
Wow. New doctor?
No, a superfood juice, believe it or not.
A juice?
Yeah, it's called 120 Life. It's got ingredients like pomegranates, tart cherries, 6 natural ingredients that have shown to control blood pressure.
Huh.
Yeah, it tastes great and has worked wonders.
Awesome. Are you getting a golf cart?
Nope, I'm walking the course today.
Wow. You got any of that 120 Life on you?
Try 120 Life risk-free and get a 2-week trial pack. Order the 8-ounce drink or powdered mix. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code 560 to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give your money back if you're not satisfied. Order now. 120life.com. Use coupon code 560 at checkout to save 15% and get free shipping.
It's your life, your legacy. Shouldn't it be your choice? For nearly 2 centuries, Catholic Cemetery Chicago has been a haven for families, offering sacred spaces to honor these legacies. Take an active role by pre-planning your final arrangements. Alleviate your loved ones a future financial burden. Lock in today's prices and take advantage of no interest payments and no hidden fees. Visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org or call 708-236-5490 to schedule a free consultation today.
It's Jeep Adventure Days at Bettenhausen Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, now open on 159th Street in Lockport. Bettenhausen has your ticket to anywhere. Hurry in and get huge savings off MSRP on a new Jeep Grand Cherokee or Jeep Compass. Bettenhausen has big savings on a new Ram 1500 or new Chrysler Pacifica. Bettenhausen has the Midwest's best selection. Choose from over 900 vehicles with no hassle and no haggle. Showroom never closes at cdjroflockport.com.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions for free. Call now and find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-504-8790. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell everyone listening who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me here. It's always nice to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now. 800-504-8790. You'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now. 800-504-8790.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center, may not be available in all states.
AM 560. The Answer.
And that's another reason why Dan Puft is single.
On this installment.
Ladies, bring it. Ladies, bring it in.
Well, I'm sorry to report this, but it speaks to the problem.
Yeah.
Influencer, model, and Mariah Carey impersonator, Swellen Carey.
Swellen Carey?
Yeah, Swellen Carey.
I'm going to see what she looks like. Do they look alike a little bit? I interviewed Mariah Carey.
She looks like she ate Mariah Carey.
Oh, now
and she just did something horrible to her face.
She doesn't look like Mariah Carey.
Well, she's a Mariah Carey impersonator and an influencer, something you only wish you could be.
I influence elections. Hey-oh, just kidding.
Last year, Swellen Carey tied the knot.
Let me guess, did she marry herself?
She did.
Did she really?
Yeah, she's a polygamist. But she has now ended her nearly 1-year marriage to herself.
Why did she break up with herself?
She does not have any mental health issues, if that's what you're thinking.
Well, I mean, it's not you, it's me.
It's crucial to know when to end a cycle, said Swellen Carey. Even commitment to oneself can have its challenges, such as dealing with the expectation of being perfect for yourself all the time.
Oh, my, can you just stop?
She let herself down. She grew apart with herself.
Because it's not you, it's me.
She changed after she married herself. That wasn't the woman she... quote, realized I was putting a lot of pressure on myself and that sometimes left me exhausted because marriage takes work. I understood that even in a marriage with ourselves, it is important to accept our imperfections. I mean, how did she not see the change that was coming when she got married?
Oh.
She's a 36-year-old Brazilian. And she did try. I mean, she didn't just give up on the marriage.
Did she go to counseling?
She didn't run at the first sight of trouble with herself. She did.
And she sat on this side of the couch, and then she ran to that side of the couch, and then she ran to this side.
After 10 sessions of therapy, I mean, tell me how the therapist did 10 sessions with a charge. I mean, that is malpractice. But anyway, I digress. After 10 sessions of therapy, she decided it was time for a divorce from herself, admitting that at times she felt lonely in her relationship. She wasn't communicating with herself, and communication is the cornerstone, along with trust.
And to say, honey, you're right. That helps, too.
Right. She
probably never got there.
Right.
I bet her therapist, after those 10 sessions, said, all right, you're great. Divorce yourself, now get out of my office,
and then
please, and don't lose my number.
And then that therapist went to a therapist. I realized that my polygamous marriage was a process of healing and self-discovery. But I also understood that personal growth can lead us in different directions. She has posted a story about this.
Oh, are we going to start? If you're going to start reading it, we need music.
Captioning it, I need a new husband.
Justin, do you have anything?
Here, did you see that? Here's some more action shots of her.
How augmented is this woman?
She's significantly. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's.
Hey.
Not a good. It looks painful. Like her lips look painful, and her boobs look like they're gonna bust out.
Women.
Cantaloupes are gonna come out.
Do I have to tell you that women shouldn't judge women? Women are so harsh with women.
Oh yeah.
You need this is.
I'm just saying
this is a girl power moment. Mm-hmm. Today she's not done. In case you were wondering, she said, "Today I value and love myself. I married myself here in London. This celebration is important because I learned to prioritize my well-being and mental health. In my vows, I wrote and declared my commitment to caring for and valuing my self-love." It's a very utilitarian argument that she's making. Speaking of utilitarianism, as we were talking about with young Ethan Watson, that utilitarianism is not the play here. I mean, that the whole problem is utilitarianism, but I didn't want to get into a philosophical tangent, going on a philosophical tangent with him. Anyway, that was her then, And then you've heard her now after the trials and tribulations and the therapy and so forth. People always, and by the way, in terms of her Mariah Carey impersonations and how she's become this influencer celebrity, people always said that I look like Mariah, but I never imagined I could make a career from that resemblance, and she has. It's been over 12 years since I started my transition into Mariah Carey. Apparently she was making real money, like... by a couple of years ago, she was making $18,000 during the Christmas season doing Mariah Carey impersonations.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's where she felt she was financially stable enough to marry herself. But then she turned out, you know what? Marrying yourself isn't about the money. It's got to be about the self-love. But she's learned, because this was a self-discovery. But this is the problem. All the good ones, like this Mariah Carey impersonator, are marrying themselves. So what's left for me?
When id and ego go to have an argument, Sigmund Freud, like Dan Proft, goes to the golf course.
Exactly right. Yes, that's my superego.
Yes.
There
you go.
Speaking of golfing, you're going across the pond tonight.
I am. I'm going to Mariole Island, Ireland.
Ireland.
Mariole, Ireland.
Have a Guinness for us, will you, please?
I will, or two, or three.
Oh, you should
depending on how I play.
Get a tour of the Guinness factory.
We're playing golf. I don't have time to do tourist stuff.
Oh, you're not going to go buy some trinkets?
Yeah.
A refrigerator magnet.
I'm gonna
or
go
a keychain that says "I heart Ireland."
I'm going to Inisherin to look for Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell.
There you go.
That movie so much.
Well, have a safe trip. Have fun.
Thank you.
Glad you got your passport figured out. Thanks also to Justin Kosick and Quinn McCarthy. Today we're going to have plenty of sunshine near the record temperature of 93 degrees, believe it or not. It is now 9 a.m. WIND Chicago.
Falling interest rates